PlayStation 2, well, PSN, world record. Yippee! So the world record before the Ghost Swap thing got found on PlayStation 2 was 58.56. There was a race before where I think after Weenie, I played like 12 seconds better than my PB. So it's like, oh, if I match the pace going into Weenie, I wouldn't have had nerves, but still. Then I could get like a low 4x, so theoretically, if I played insane, like absolutely out of my mind, I could even get a 58 3x, but obviously, you know, it doesn't really matter much anymore. So I forgot to submit my run until 5 minutes ago, and Sam deleted his run, but top 3 pretty much is sub 1. So that's cool. It's pretty obvious at this point, by the way, that at the high, at least, you know, top level, high level, whatever, the Ghost Swap is saving at least like 2.5 minutes. Like, it's hard to actually, like, save that time, but it's saving like 2.5 minutes, potentially even more. Because it's an overall more difficult category, you do just kind of need to, like, have lower standards, though. But yeah, we're gonna analyze the run. We'll do a little bit of comparison with the Xbox version, but not like a ton, or at least not like showing the gameplay, but like there are some reasons why I want to have comparisons and stuff, but yeah, obviously you get it by now. There's a frame of input lag, it loads slower, the resets are faster, except for soft resets, which are slower. Yeah. Have to use an HDMI splitter thing to bypass the capture card protection. That's very minor, though. So yeah, the run starts, and, like, when you actually gain control of SpongeBob here, it's, like, 13 point something. And on Xbox, it's, like, 9, it's, like, low 9, maybe mid 9. But yeah, obviously, the run's gonna be structured in basically the same way. This isn't going to entirely be, like, literally every single difference between them, because I've kind of already done that. This is more like analyzing how good the run is, but some things are worth pointing out, because you need to understand, like, why this run was good enough for me to finally stop playing the category, and instead play no major glitches, on Xbox, obviously, so, with this, so that's a big thing already, and again, I've already talked about it before. You have no idea how big of a deal this is. This was, like, the reason why I just decided to move on, because when I was done with this run, I had like over an hour left, or maybe about it. Yeah, it was like a little over an hour, and I started running early powers, and I'm not even exaggerating. I think I missed this like 9 times in a row or something, and then I stopped streaming. It was a lot of times. And after that, I was like, bruh, like, this is very, very hard, because, like, think about it, right? What is the visual cue? Like, what is the visual cue? You just like, it's just vibes. It's literally vibes. And, it saves, I don't know exactly how much, like, well, 6 to 7. Like, it's gotta be around there. It would save more on Xbox, because the FMV, like, you skip the FMV, and the FMV is slow as fuck. But yeah, so that's already, like, a very big thing in the run. So getting this just automatically makes your run kind of bussin'. I had a rule where I had to get one of the 2 token frames by the end of Depression. Normally it'd be 3, but in this category, or in this version of the category, it's 2. So there's no, so yeah, there's no Krieg frame. Spoilers. Dude, I swear, actually, we'll get to it in a second. I think, like, you know, like, the in-game cutscenes that play, like, during levels, like, I think they load, like, just as fast as Xbox, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, we don't need the creek warp, so we don't need to, like, walk back. But yeah, you can see, like, the cycle's a little different because of that. It's not, like, harder or anything, it's just a slightly different cycle. Not having to even think about this is nice, I will say. But yeah, it's just like, I'm playing how I would expect to, essentially. I mean, I can't expect a no-cheese frame, but, like, obviously I can expect to see it several times throughout a stream, but getting it in a run in itself is no biggie, because I have 5 hours to do that. And a lot of runs die anyway. Statistically, this run was obviously had an incredibly high chance of dying anyway, so... And yeah, so you got a 2-frame. That is obviously a lot easier than the no cheese one, because the problem with the no cheese one, the trigger for the token is off the token. Whereas with other tokens in the game, it's actually, like, on the fucking token, which means that it's closer to the token, which means, you know, there's an actual, like, half visual cue. And because normally when it comes to, like, trampoline and bungee tokens and stuff like that, usually those are easier 2 frames, because the only thing you need to, like, you have a lot of time to prep to just press literally one button, whereas with other tokens, you need to inch up to them and then press start, and then, you know, in that time you have to, like, judge, like, did that look right? Whereas, like, this is different. So yeah, this is easier than a traditional, like, 2-frame token. Also, it's a 2-frame and not a 1-frame like it is in No Cheese. I still miss this, like, more often than I'd like to admit, though. But yeah, so if I miss 2 of those, I reset. Or if I, like, get one of the 2, but then I'd still make more mistakes, like I miss balcony jump and stuff like that, like, I just reset. So the standards for, like, a decent run out of depression aren't, like, insanely high, but they're still kind of, like, you know, a little demanding. But yeah, also, I swear to fucking god, the cone jump is easier on PS2. I went on a long streak of not missing it, and then when I played NMG, I just kept fucking missing it. It also feels like this is slightly easier, but, like, I don't know. Like, because it could be, because it's a lower, like, resolution game, maybe there's something to do with, like, the collision, like, the hitbox or whatever, like, sticking out more, but that's, like, copium, I don't know, man. One thing that is nice about this version is that you can instantly skip FMVs. Normally you'd have to, like, hang at the end of depression for a couple seconds, and it can be hard to, like, split at the right time, but this is a lot more snappy. It's sandwich driving. I don't really think we need to see it except for out of bounds. I don't want this video to be ungodly long. Like, I made so many, like, analysis videos, but it's just showing, like, obviously the run, like, it is a very, you can't really expect better than this. Like, it's plus 0.6 off my best ever. So this run is really good so far. Fast sandwich out of bounds is, in my opinion, easier, and Latte agrees. It's easier here, even in spite of the drift and the delay, because you get a little more height from this dirt pile, which means that there's more leniency for getting on here. And my wheels don't get caught on the floor as often because of the additional height when I descend from the bulldozer. So even though this part of it is slightly harder, it's still overall, like, easier. Another thing, again, I don't want to talk about literally every difference, but this is important. There's no sandwich crash, and Mindy Steer doesn't happen yet. It activates from 3K, so even if you miss this, you don't need to soft reset yet. You soft reset from 3K, so that is nice as well. I also, getting ultimate is just harder on PSN, like, I do just see it less. Like, it just seems like I don't know, like, the way you bounce off the dirt pile just doesn't seem to cooperate the same way. So I expect to get 246s, and this is a very, like, good run. Like, absolutely zero complaints. Like, I can't expect to go ultimate, so it's just, like, this is a very good run. Then is the same again for a while, as you would probably expect. You know, you can't really do much to change the beginning of 3K when you don't have, like, lag clips, for example. Yeah, manlies don't really matter very much. They're even more lenient than they are on Xbox. Like, it's still possible to not have enough, but, like, it's really not, like, a, you know... And, okay, there are some ways I could... I guess for now I won't mention it. I guess that'll be, like, after we're done with the main run, so we'll just focus on what I'm doing for now, so yeah, no bounceless. So you grab the SpongeBob Warp. This is what you do on Xbox if you don't want to do bounceless, by the way, like... This is found, like, a while ago. It's like, oh, if you don't do bounceless, then it's faster to do shit in this order. So bounceless used to save, like, 6.5 or some shit, or, like, 6, and now it saves, like, 2.5. Although on PSN, it's, bounceless actually, like, loses time unless you do death bounceless, but, like, regular load bounceless, it's slower. Because obviously you're adding a load. Yeah, still no mistakes. Doing it like this does mean no token deaths, by the way. So again, for what I'm doing, like, everything is fine and dandy right now. I need to... You get stuck on the target with the cycle that I'm on, so you have to, like, hang to the right, but it doesn't actually lose time, because you have to, like, wait. Because you get infinite dives when you begin ascending, anyway, and, like, you need to wait for the target, so... Anyway, that's a raw 2 frame. Again, easier with, like, Bungie tokens compared to other tokens, but yeah. We are already, we've already done 3, like, unbuffered token frames. Whereas by now on Xbox, we would have done, well, if you're doing token deaths, then 3 token frames, but they would have all been buffered. But even if you were doing that, then Bungie regular, then you would just buffer that as well, and there'd be 4 buffered tokens, which is a lot easier than the 3 unbuffered. So just a completely standard sponge bowl. My movement at the end there was slightly sloppy-toppy. I definitely could have done that better. And again, like, because of the frame of delay, you just gotta press start like a frame earlier than you think you need to, so the time, like, it's not like a huge adjustment, but it is something that you need to keep in mind, unless you already had a frame of delay on your setup for Xbox anyway. Okay, I think it's because of render distance, you're never on cycle to, like, collect this token after skipping the cutscene. You're literally never on cycle, like you are on Xbox. The render distance on PS2 and GameCube is really fucking bad. I assume they're, like, identical to each other. It's really fucking bad, and there's a couple other cases where we will see this. So the only way you can get this is if you, like, fuck something up, like, on the way. Which does mean, then, that you don't lose as much as you normally would from that, which is nice, because on Xbox, it usually has the opposite problem, which then means that you usually can't actually obtain the token immediately after the cutscene, so then it loses even more than normal. We are still upgrading. Okay, I did say I wasn't going to mention, like, everything. You don't need to upgrade here because there is no lag spike issue, so you can just ledge grab the thing in BBBH and then upgrade. But if you're not doing BBBH slide jumps, then it's still just, like, makes sense to upgrade here. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I golded 3K, which is kind of funny because, again, I had slightly sloppy movement. And I had... Actually, yeah, you know when I tried to kill the 2 foggers, my movement could have been a teeny bit better there as well. So, let's do rub-it-up skip. Also, if I'm like high energy and low energy at the same time. I got 3.5 hours of sleep, and the day before I got like 5 or something. However, I drank a Monster, and the caffeine hit me harder than it normally does. Anyway, so I reverted, like, my rub-it-up skip setup on PS2. The setup is, like, a little harder on PS2 because of the sensitivity of the sticks. So normally, I, like, cut the jump. Like, you know how I do. I don't really think I need to show the Xbox gameplay, but I, like, cut the jump. And then I don't build up as much speed, and I need to automatically, like... I mean, yeah, I need to adjust the camera, because otherwise you get a shitty camera. Here... I don't turn the stick at all, unless I get a bad camera from... Occasionally from doing this, you'll get a bad camera. But I just, like, hold X to do, like, a big full jump, and then I hold left. So I'm doing, like, the old way of doing it. And then I don't adjust the camera. And I've slightly changed my... Well, I fucked it up here. Like, usually, what I do is, like... Yeah, around here I'd start holding up, but recently I changed my setup to, like, when SpongeBob's head passes the gap, then I start holding up, and I'm actually liking that a lot more. But yeah, you'll see that I got it with a little bit of leniency. It's not like it was super duper close. So yeah, even though I reverted my setup, like, I think it's worth it for PS2. I mean, maybe not everybody agrees, but to get a more consistent camera angle and to build up more speed, which is nice when you're dealing with sensitive sticks, in my opinion, I like that. But of course, if I cut it more for rubber 1 and 2, then I could save, like, 2-3 seconds. So I am losing time there, but you can see, I'm ahead of my best splits. Like... I have affected, like, I haven't made any mistakes. It's all like, I could have got ultimate, I could have taken slightly better lines, I could have done death bounceless, I could have, you know. But, like, in terms of mistakes, I haven't made a single one. Like, actual, like, mistake, you know? Something that loses, like, 2 seconds or whatever, right? So we got BBBH jumps, which don't save as much on here. On PSN, they save literally, like, 10 to 11 seconds. Which is really sad. I think on actual PS2 it saves, like, basically nothing, so there's no reason to, like, do it on regular PS2. But yeah, those are pretty much perfect jumps. It could have been a teeny bit more optimal, but, like, they were pretty much perfect. And that fight was just, like, completely standard. So yeah. just looking good so far. Don't really have much to say here. BBBH is, like, a little too linear, unfortunately. You mask it a little bit with BBBH backwards, but otherwise, yeah, it is a bit too linear, TBH. I don't remember if this was in my last analysis video, but yeah, you can... If you do a big jump, it does need to be, like, a big jump, and then you slam. You can break the floorboard early, which saves time. Over the old strat I was doing, and it's easier. Anyway, here's Disco, which is a lot harder now, but it's still not, like, horrible, but yeah. Yeah, so we found it... Turns out you don't need to buffer this. Obviously, it's a lot easier if you have Xbox lag, but, like, this is, it's the same kind of idea, and you would be able to do this, for example, on, like, Xbox hard drive. So what you're doing is literally, like, pausing, and then if you don't get the right frame, you quickly press triangle to close the menu, and then you press start again, and you fish out the right frame. So you can, like, this is the correct frame. If Patrick has his, like, hands, like, very close to his chest, that means it's, like, a frame too late or two. It's, like, a frame or two too late. But this is the exact right frame. And then when you unpause, you still have, like, a few frames to jump out of it, just like you do with, Xbox buffers. I don't know if you have, like, a slightly, like... I never, like, looked into, like, the exact amount of frames they get on Xbox, but it is, like, 3 to 4 frames on Xbox, about. So I don't know if on PlayStation it's like 2 to 3, or if it is still like 4. I don't know. It doesn't feel super lenient, but it doesn't feel like, you know, super strict. So it probably is around the same as, maybe a frame less than Xbox. So yeah, that's nice, isn't it? However, no ledge grab skip. Getting, like, doing that and then getting the ledge grab skip, dude, it's even harder than doing it on Xbox. I can't, like, reasonably expect to get the ledge grab skip. I guess you could count this as a mistake, but, like, I personally don't, because, again, it's just, like, I don't even get it, like, half the time. That is not the kind of thing that would call a mistake, more like what I could improve. So I could save, like, 1.5 seconds there, and I could have done a 1 pause, or not pause at all, but obviously, let's be real, I'm not fucking doing that. So I could, because it is possible that you just pause into the correct frame immediately, although that is hard to recognize, because a lot of the time you won't do that. So it's, like, very... Doing it like this isn't, like, the most consistent thing in the world, but obviously your consistency rate is going to be quite a bit higher than doing a raw fucking 1 frame. Especially because my objective was just to get a solid time in this category and then move on. So yeah, like, that's not really, like, a mistake, but that is, like, this is the segments that currently has the most amount of time save. Like, I could theoretically save, like, I don't know, 3 seconds, 3.5 so far. But yeah, once again, standard, and then we do fast corkscrew, which I'll skip ahead to the actual cycle. I will say, though, dude, this turn is, like, worse on PS2. Like, I just, like, can't, like, I did a good turn there, but, like, this turn is just noticeably easier on Xbox. I don't know why. So it can make it slightly harder to, like, make the right cycle. I mean, to, like, make the cycle with as much leniency is kind of weird. You can still make it with plenty of leniency, but I do personally think that this is a little harder on PS2 than it is on Xbox. And that was pretty good overall, so... Like, even though my gold isn't perfect or anything, like, this is under 1 second off the gold. Like, this is very good, and I still effectively haven't made any mistakes. This run is very, very, very good. Unbones did find a faster cycle here. I think it was after I think it was either, like... I think it was after I did this run, but it's hard to remember. Yeah, I think it was after I did this run. But, like, Unbones did find, like, if you go this way, it can save time. But I haven't, like, even looked into it for... Like, I didn't have time, even when I played NMG, because I had to, like, rush practice. I need to, like, look into that before next stream on Sunday. But yeah, the cycle has changed since my last analysis. You can make this a little earlier, like, if you... I don't know how to explain it, but you can just jump from here to here earlier than we normally were, and it is, like, you can save, like, a second... Maybe a second? It's hard to remember. I don't know what cycle this is, though. I literally, like, I can't remember, bro. Again, like, because the movement is just more sluggish, like, it's literally just harder to do everything, so I'm not really, like, gonna kill myself if I, you know... So I don't know, maybe I just made my regular cycle, maybe it was a bit faster than normal, but this is the interesting thing. I learned this, like, the day before this run. Because I saw, like, Red doing it. And I tried to learn it at first, didn't like it, gave it another go, because I kept losing runs to it, and it was pissing me off. This saves a lot on PlayStation, right? It saves a lot on Xbox, like 11 to 12 seconds. It saves a fucking lot. Actually, hold on, I'll be right back. Alright, bruv, I'm back. I don't know how the video is already 20 minutes long, and I've been doing ×2 speed on this shit. It's 17 minutes in. So yeah, the setup, okay, so the setup, basically, like, you see this line on the floor? You don't want to stand, like, here. You gotta look at my cursor as well. You don't want to stand, like, here, because then you gotta walk, like, even closer. Well, like, because it makes the visual cue worse. So you want to stand, like, further up. Like, if you go down here, it won't work as well. You want to be, like, around here. And then when you, like, not, like, the tiniest amount possible, but, like, when you're, like, very shortly, like, past the line. Like this. This is shortly past the line, but not, like, overly so, right? So you can see, I didn't actually 1-frame the token, so this is still 2-frame, which is why it's a bit risky. Because you can see, I'm supposed to have 13 tokens, open the menu, 13, even though I press start, which means this is the 2-frame. I just went for it, like, I don't know, I don't want to... Because I would have unpaused into the token, so... This, like, you can be even, like, I don't know how to explain it, but, like, you don't want to be the tiniest amount past the line, but you want to be, like, very shortly past the line, like this. And if you're further down, you gotta go even further right, which then just makes this not as reliable. This saves even on PSN. I don't know the exact time save, but it's like 17, maybe 16 seconds on like, it's a lot. And imagine how much it saves on just, like, a shitty, like, PS2 with a shitty disc. Oh my god, it would save so much fucking time. Insane. So, yeah. And I got it, obviously, or else the run would have died. So I can never gold this again, because my gold just gets it, like, basically immediately. I think it has almost no hesitation. Well, obviously, if it had no hesitation, I would have cartwheeled and then pressed stop. I mean, like, full not cartwheeling, I almost practically just, like, walked into it almost full speed, and I 2-framed it, so I'm never gonna beat the gold, but yeah, you can still get very close, as you can see. Like, you can't complain if you get this, so this is also not a mistake. Again, I've effectively made no mistakes this entire run so far. Which is fucking absurd. So now, we have Rub-a-Dub 2, and the 1-frames are even harder than they normally are, because... Well, not only the input lag, which does make them quite a lot harder because the visual cue is already not good, and then doing it a frame before even that visual cue is just ridiculous. Because I expect myself to jump further back, again, jump to the invisible wall to then set it up properly. Like... To normalize my setup, I would want to get the 1-frame jumps and then do an extra 1-frame jump to jump, to then, you know, make it the same setup as in Rub-a-Dub 1, which would then make it even harder and not save as much time. I've hardly ever been going for them. I'd only started going for them very recently. So I go for them because, you know, I have time to spare. Like, even if I lose a few seconds by attempting them, that's really not a big issue. So let's see how I do. Alright, so that was as good as possible. And then my setup wasn't even jank, it was like a completely fine setup. So once again, I've made no mistakes. And then of course you just go to BBBH and then you go to Weenie. Something weird, by the way, like, some loads are actually, like, quite slow. And then some are fast. Like, Rub-a-Dub is like, barely slower than Xbox. It's literally slower by, like, half a fucking second or something. But then, levels like Depression and Weenie are, like, 3 seconds slower, and it's just kind of weird, and I don't know why it's like that. Anyway, and again, Exit game is faster than Xbox, and it's the only time in the entire game where, like, there's a load faster than Xbox. Like, literally, what is the logic behind that? Yeah, Weenie, we are going to be doing the same shit you would expect. The Paddy Wagon is a little bit slower than NTSCOG, and I really do mean, like, a tiny bit. Like, it's not even very noticeable. It's just a little bit slower. A little bit. like, you're gonna lose, like, probably half a second per minute of gameplay or some shit. Like, it's like, hardly anything. Think about it, right? So, I loaded in, like, maybe 3 seconds slower than normal, and I have a fucking high 309, which means that it'd be, like, 306 without upgrade, so yeah, I'm losing, like, roughly half a second per minute, and this isn't gonna be as optimized as my Xbox Gold, most likely. But yeah, not much to say here. But, you know, I gotta show it anyways, fucking, you know, because at least I'm, like, doing stuff. That could have been a bit faster, but that wasn't even, like, that slow again. I wouldn't really call that a mistake. These are just natural things that you would expect to happen in a speedrun. I could have nitroed a teeny bit earlier there. I could have not got hit by the hot sauce. That probably lost me a few frames. Like 3 frames or something. And then obviously we have the weenie backwards thing, which, I haven't shown that in an analysis yet because it's existed for a long time, but like Vaz optimized this and now it's actually worth it. Especially because on Xbox, no pause storage, if I ever go back to that, my load count used to naturally be on 44, and now it's naturally on 43 if I do this, so it's ideal. Ideally, you would nitro later than this. Normally, you would nitro here, but with the backwards thing, you would ideally nitro later, but then it makes a different thing harder. So I just, like, take the L, lose, like, a few frames here to make this easier. So around here, oh wait, I didn't do it like that. Okay, well, I'm supposed to nitro around there. It doesn't really matter that much. And then this is hard to do optimally, but I actually had, like, this was actually quite optimal. This is harder than it looks. Like, seriously now. Like, obviously it's not the hardest thing ever, but doing it, like, saving as much time as possible is genuinely, unironically kind of hard. Because you need, like, a good turn in mid-air, and then you don't want to, like, imagine if I nitro now with a shitty angle, I'd, like, run into the wall. So you want to, like, but then you don't want to waste too much time turning around, so you gotta, like, it's, again, much harder than it looks, even though it's not, like, actually hard to just do it. But this was actually, like, not perfect, but very good. And then I made what I would actually call my first mistake of the run. This is, like, half the reason this saves time, like, again, it saves, like, upwards of, like, a second or something if it's, like, perfect. This already loses me, like, at least, like, half a second. It is the bullshit nitro. The one where you have to get closer to it because its hitbox is just off fucking center for some reason. And I missed it because game's bad. Because, like, it's hard to, like, because not only do you need to grab this optimally, so you need to go wide to grab it, but then you need to then go inward, because this line is optimal. Going through the oil is not optimal. Going around is not optimal. This is optimal. Otherwise, it's gonna be hard to save time. You can still save time, it's gonna be hard. God, especially if both things happen, like you miss the nitro and then you go through here, like, there's no way you're saving anything. You can't be losing much, but still. This is just fucking stupid. I hate this, but, like, obviously, because we're playing on PS2, like, you want to drive backwards. Like, even on PSN, like, there's no reason to lose, like, 4 seconds, like, because, oh, I don't want to drive, like, it'd be hard to lose 4 fucking seconds, not, like, you'd have to really fuck up, like, miss the key, like, that kind of thing. So, yeah. That's my first, like, actual, like, proper mistake of the run, and it probably lost me, like, 0.6 or something. Also, again, because of no lag spike, there's no reason to upgrade here, it's just superior to upgrade in Frogfish. I have forgotten a couple times, but I got a lot better at it with time. So obviously I'm still doing the same, like, fast Frogfish cycle thing. And I upgrade here again, it's perfect time to upgrade. You can also upgrade, like, here, though, but yeah. Just any time before you do this. And, there is, like, a manip, but I swear it, like, doesn't work half the time for some reason. Apparently, if your back is turned when the tongue spawns, it's supposed to, like, manip the tongue to spawn here instead of, like, here. So it's more optimal. I swear sometimes it still just doesn't fucking work, but I don't know, I feel like it increases the consistency. Either way, I got a good Frogfish. This is gonna be a 59. And yeah, this is what I mean, like, the Frogfish load is fast on Xbox, and then because we skip the FMV as well, like, faster than Xbox. If I didn't upgrade here, my gold would be around the same as my Xbox gold, which is funny. And look how fast the Rock Slide gold is. Keep in mind, Rock Slide's a big fucking level, and it's still like 8.5 seconds. Crazy. Anyway, skydive timing is a bit different here, because the music starts... You know how I've explained, like, bullshit music in Rockslide? I used to use an audio cue for skydive, but I stopped, because sometimes the music would start earlier than normal, and it was just, like, fucking annoying. Like, on hard drive, it always starts at the same time, but on Xbox, it's usually delayed, but, like, not always. Like 75% of the time, it like, delays itself. Here, it always plays quickly, so it's, like, loading the music faster than Xbox, but either way, I just use it. Like, basically, as soon as the screen is, like, pretty much fully black, like, maybe just before that, but it, like, pretty much when it's fully black, I just do optimal jumps backwards, and I've only missed it, like, once or twice since doing that. So yeah, it's not very hard. I'll skip ahead a bit, because there's just nothing, like, different here. But yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of segments that are, like, very similar, where it's just like, oh, it's just, like, a few seconds slower because of, like, the load. But there were also, like, 3K was fairly different, like, Depression was actually, like, surprisingly different considering you still do, like, the same sequence of, like, events. So yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, like I said, well, at this point, like, the Manleys are, like, gonna be basically the same as Xbox, but, like... Which means, like, they're pretty lenient, we don't really need to worry about that. I don't remember if this was in the last analysis, so I'll say this. If you... So, this V-shape, I used to just hit it immediately and then hit this one. If you go out of your way to, like, hit the last one, and then hit this, I feel like because you get a slightly less optimal line, it might lose a few frames, but then you get a 60 combo. I think you either don't get a combo otherwise, or you only get, like, a fucking, like, 4 combo or 5 combo, whatever the fuck, like... But a 60 combo for doing almost nothing, like, that's pretty good, right? So, you want that. Especially in, like, no major glitches, because the Manly route is a little bit fucky there. But yeah, obviously, we still do Rock Rewind. Rock Rewind saves even more on PSN. Well, PS2. Because think about it, right? It literally skips a load. And the driving is a teeny bit slower anyway, so it gets rid of SD102. So... Even if the load was the same speed, it would just make it a teeny bit faster, and then, by the tiniest amount, but then also the load, so, which isn't, like, a huge thing, but yeah. Like, because this saves a minimum of, like, a minute 25 on Xbox, whereas on PSN it saves a minimum of, like, a minute 29 or something. But anyway, yeah, I got it. So it works the same, don't need to see this. And I got a 24, which is the fastest you can get. So, again, I've not really made any mistakes. It was like that Nitro thing, but that's minor, and I don't even know if you can count some things, like, oh, no ledge grab skip is like... So this run, it might even be, like, better than my Xbox run at this point, and this is where I want to start the comparisons, right? It is admittedly hard for me to remember. So I can look at this, like, okay, the run is incredibly standard right now. Okay, this run is, like, incredibly good as well, actually. Wow, this run is really good. It might, okay, no. And I know I got the 1 frames here. Okay. Dude, this run is good. Fucking hell. And I got, dude. Man. Wow, okay, it's really hard for me to say which run is better because they both... I mean, this plays, like, further off Sob. But, like, the Sob is also, like, more optimized, so playing closer to it is harder. Well, that's the thing, though. I don't have buffer. Like, I've been going on and on and on about how, like, the run is harder, the run is harder, the run is harder. Well, sandwich driving's easier. And Creek specifically is easier. And then no token death, so I can, in 3K, get more runs going. But then Bungie's not that hard. And then, like, Rubber's a tiny bit harder, BBBH is harder, 3K2 is harder. I don't know. I'm playing 9 seconds off sub here, whereas here I'm playing 11 seconds off sub. But, like, I feel like the runs are, like, basically just as good as each other, because this Xbox run is even more, like, optimized. As in, like, the splits are just very slightly better. But for the most part, it's also easier, so when you factor that, I think this run is actually better, but they are effectively, like, just as good as each other. When you factor the increased difficulty, this is, like, a better run, but if you just consider, like, just playing well, this is a better run. But like, honestly, if you just say they're basically identical in terms of, like, how good they are, I can't really argue against that. But now it would be interesting to compare exit times, because I've actually never done that before. The very quirky thing about PlayStation no pause storage is that it is constantly losing time against Xbox throughout the entire run, like, literally the entire run. And basically, well, yeah, you lose, okay, I think the exception is, like, I think Rubadub's load is so fast that you can get a faster Rubadub compared to Xbox. I don't know if you can get a faster Rubadub 2, but when you factor that Rubadub 1 has, like, an FMV skip, I think you can get a faster Rubadub 1. But barely, but other than that, well, the Frogfish would be very similar, but, like, you know, give or take milliseconds, might be a teeny bit faster, but at that point it's basically the same. Other than that, like, every single split, like, loses time. So it falls further and further and further and further and further behind Xbox, and then it does a gargantuan time save, and then it just pulls massively ahead. Obviously, Sunday helps it a lot, but it's still behind, and then it gets a huge jump. Because it's still, like, I don't know, like, a couple minutes behind, like, out of Plank, or, like, out of Guess 2, like, / Plank, and then it just fucking pulls ahead significantly. But yeah, we are going to look at the exit times now. So on Xbox it's a 26:15, and on PS2 it is a 27:29. So these runs, I would say, in terms, again, dude, look how much more blurry this is. I know you won't get the full picture, because this itself, I mean, let me, like, not only can I not do a direct side-by-side without, like, a couple seconds of just me zooming in, but also, like, YouTube will compress anyway. But man, it's like, it's just like you smeared, like, a thin layer of Vaseline on it, fucking hell. Like, keep in mind, like, this is HDMI, like, this looks as good as it possibly can, and this could look better, because I could use, like, HDMI mod, or I could use, like, the RetroTink 5X or whatever. Like, I think, my okay, so, like, the way I have to do movie, I think because of its fucked 480p resolution, as well as, like, my capture card being quirky, I could enable line 2x to double my resolution, except I actually can't, again, either because of movie or because of my capture card, I'm not sure which one. But I would be able to do that, like, do line 2x, but I don't even do that, I use pass-through, and it still looks this good, and then you just compare it, it's like, fucking hell, man. Good lord. Alright, anyway, wait, are they both on 1080p? Yeah, they are. So these are how far behind? So, like, a minute 14. A minute 14, which for 26, 27 minutes of gameplay is not bad. But obviously, like, again, it's just constantly behind. So I guess at this point, yeah, there's just under a minute and a half difference between them if you, like, play basically perfect. So, yeah, both of these runs are pretty much perfect going into Now That We're Men. But again, I gotta have lower standards here, so for my standards I have to have... This run is fucking beyond insane. I know I'm going up against pace splits. I don't know how far ahead... I'm like, I don't know, like 15, 20 seconds ahead. Yeah, probably like 15 against my PB. And my PB, I already, like, knew it to have, like, a good early game. Well, I don't even know when mid-game starts and all that shit. Like, I just kind of divide it into thirds, but I can't be asked to do that right now. But yeah, we're definitely in mid-game right now. So Now That We're Men does have a difference, and it is, like, a notable one, and we can get into, like, theoretical time saves later. This cycle is different. Again, render distance. You can make this, but it's fucking risky. I could have made that, though, so I lost a little bit of time there. But again, that's, like, would you really call stuff like that, like, a mistake? If you add up, like, all the little things, then yeah, they all add up to, like, a notable mistake, but it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, initially the same as always. I wonder if the tunnel clip thing is, like, you know, in Hundo and all tokens, like, the thing we theorize. I wonder if because of render distance, it'd be, like, easier on PS2, because you could, like, predict the turret's bullet cycle or something, I don't know. But anyway, Bungie early. There's a major reason why this is done early, and it is because it adds a load, and it makes it not fast. It can be fast, but I'll go into that later. But the short end of it is that it's so not worth it, and it would just not save much anyway. So yeah, you get a kind of half unpredictable cycle. You need to, like, play... I don't know when the cycle starts, because, like, the way that the tunnel, like, wraps around is kind of, like, weird. So I don't know, like, when this challenge, like, loads in. You can guess... There was one time where I got a cycle that was basically equivalent to what I'm used to on Xbox, but, like, that was literally one time. I think you need to play, like, perfect. I don't know. So... That's just, like, natural time loss that you just expect. And then I can't, like, reasonably go for Bungee Ball because I just don't know what cycle I'm on. Unfortunately. Oh, and then because of that, I can get more manlies here. So this is where, like, no pause storage, PS2, you get slightly more manlies here because I'm literally, like, waiting for the eel. There's no reason to do eel ball. So that's something that actually removes skill. I don't even need to think about eel ball. Or Bungee Ball. Spewer Boost is still here. I missed it, unfortunately. Dude, I remember getting that every time in practice, and then I fucking missed it in the run. I was like, bruh. But yeah, once again, the same. Let's see how this goes. Excelente. So yeah, Area 1, like, now we can't really, like, compare anymore for, like, well, we can next split, but this is when, like, the run, like, actually has a significant difference from no pause storage, because, like, Bungie being done early, that is, like, notable. It makes Area 2, like, a lot faster paced by PS2 standards. We have the classic Bash Gang and the fact that it never works first try for some reason. Dude, Quick Chris was giving me the fucking business. It was not working. And you know what the worst part is as well? On Sunday when I went back to NMG, it was working even less. And then I got one run here and I fucking missed it, dude. I was like, bruh. But yeah. I missed it. So my first proper mistake was Weenie Nitro, but if that's too minor to count, then it was Bash Gang. And if that's too minor to count, well, actually no, it was missing Spewer Boost. But even if I'm on Copium, and I'm like, nah, that's like that's too difficult to expect to get. Even though I don't know, I get it like half the time, so I kind of like half expect to get it. Just to get it at all, even like the half one. But yeah, then Bash Gang's an actual mistake, but then you could be like, oh, it doesn't lose much. Like, this is an actual mistake. I lost, like 4 to 4.5. So the run isn't, like, falling apart, obviously, but, like, comparatively, you could call it falling apart. Yeah, I gotta do Monster Skip. Obviously, Monster Buffer is not viable here, so I just gotta do regular Monster Skip, which does make it a bit easier. I have, like, failed Monster Buffer. Like, considering it saves, like, half a second, I've lost too many runs to it, dude. But I'm just, like, in too deep. I get it, like, 90% of the time. It just works a bit too often. And, as you would imagine, well, there are two things that make this different from Xbox, and one of them is obviously that we can't buffer, but there's a different thing. On GameCube and PS2, blocks fucking flip you 180 degrees, like, just before they're about to turn. So watch this. I'm facing the wrong way, and then I'm facing the right way. Xbox does not do this, it is just GameCube and PS2. And at first I was like, oh, fuck off, dude, because it was such a pain in the ass. And then somebody suggested, like, just getting flipped 180 degrees, not, like, facing the wrong way so that it flips you in the right way. And that's genius. It makes it basically the same difficulty as before, pretty much. I spent a while learning this buffer. I was actually practicing this a lot. Until I got a bit lazy, because my consistency got high enough with it, and then I got a bit lazy, but... This is a bit different from in Disco, because you're doing a side view, and this is notable, because look at the difference. This is like an incorrect frame, and then this is a correct frame. And like, they don't look that different. Like, it's not as obvious that it's like the incorrect frame. So like, obviously it's effectively the same trick, but they are like a little different, and obviously there's more pressure on you because doing it here like loses more time and height matters more. But yeah, also if you miss it, then you just lose even more time. Anyway, this token buffer saves like 10 seconds just like it does on Xbox, but, well, you can't buffer it. Wow, I risked that. I mean, it was obviously the two, I think, okay, the reason why I risked it, right? I forgot to mention this. This is for run 430. Run 429 was on PB pace, and it died to gas jumps. It was on a worse pace than this, but it was similar. The run was pretty good going into Now That I'm In. And then I remember I went for the 2-frame. It was very obviously the 2-frame. I got scared, I unpaused. And then the run made some mistakes, but the run was still on, like, decent PB pace. Could have still been 56, if I recall correctly, and then it died. Tried to finish the run. I died in Neptune. I couldn't fucking believe my eyes. I literally ran out of health. I forgot to grab health. Fucking, I've literally never done that before, like, unironically. Or at least I don't think I have. So that was a never. And then I, reset the game, and then this was the first attempt. And this run was even better. And when I saw that, like, when it was, like, so obviously, especially because it looked the exact same as the previous run, and I had, like, my Now That I'm In was just, like, not as good as my other splits, and I wanted, like, that basically just, because I can't expect to get it, because this doesn't actually have, like, its own visual cue. You can do the same kind of thing as 3K, but it doesn't work as well. Like, you need to stand, it will work, but you need to stand even further past the line by, like, a bit more. Again, not a teeny bit more, but, like, a bit more, and at that point, it's just not that reliable. And that would be so annoying to get used to, especially because it doesn't save as much time. Like, at that point, it's just, like, So yeah, this saved, like, 10, and, like, 10, 11. So that made up for losing, like, 4.5 or some shit to Quick Chris. And then losing, like, I don't know, like, maybe 2 seconds to Bash Gang. And then missing Spubers. Like, all of that did lose me, like, 10 seconds. So I basically just, like, made up for it. So now this is just, like, a good Now That I'm In. So yeah, 457 Now That I'm In. Crazy that you can still get sub 5 Now That I'm Ins without bungee late and with, like, slower loads. And missing Quick Chris. And not being able to do Monster Buffer. That is very minor, to be fair. I've talked about this before, but for some reason, I don't know if this happens on GameCube or on PS2, you just get fucking Mindy Steer here for some reason. I would imagine that you can probably get around this in, like, Hundo and all tokens by doing, like, Weenie too early or something. Although that wouldn't be worth it in a Hundo because of mag, but you could, because, like, Rockside Rewind causes this too on Xbox, and probably the other versions, and it's, like, to do with, it is something to do with, like, Mindy conversations, like, how many times you talk to her, or something like that. So I would imagine that maybe, if you do, like, Weenie 2 or something, you could get around that, but no pause storage, we just can't. So, yeah. The only notable thing here, really, is that, Toilet Buffer is just obviously not viable, because you can't buffer. It'd have to be a raw one. Oh, well, you could do the other, but then you're just adding so much difficulty compared to just doing Toilet Skip. I feel like it's really not viable. And here's another thing. I am doing TNT Circ. 2 reasons. First of all, it's still, like, not that bad. It is hard. It is, like, objectively harder, but it's not, like, as bad. And the second reason is because Circulate is not fast in this, which means I can't compare the time save. Normally it saves, like, I think it's, like, barely under 2 seconds, like, just barely. Like 1.9 seconds or something. However, because I can't do Circulate because it adds a load, I have to compare it to the Ice Swinger method, and Circulate saves, like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 seconds over that. So this is saving me, like, 5 to 6 seconds. Somewhere around there. If you do it perfectly. You could still do a 1-frame thing here, but, like, that's hard to justify. So the reason why this is easy to justify on Xbox is because even if you go too far off the edge, because you get slide frames. Again, this was not in my last analysis, so... it's worth noting. And, it changes your load count as well for Xbox, which might be notable for your route. So you stand on the edge, and then you throw the TNT against the wall, hold, like, down so that you're facing the camera, and then you get slide frames and damage boost off of it. Get a ledge grab skip, get the Circ token. However, with, this, obviously a buffer isn't as reliable. I saw that I was too far off the edge, but, like, I just never did. For some reason, I would just refuse to go for the buffer here on PlayStation, so this has to be a 1 frame. And I missed it. On Xbox, obviously, if this happened on Xbox, my run would have been dead. On PlayStation, here's the thing, right? This does lose a lot of time. And you might be thinking, like, how are you done with the category if this happened? Again, I made, like, no mistakes until Now Though Man, and even then, realistically, I negated the mistakes by getting, like, an instant fucking floating block 2 frame. Like, how can you expect me to be minus? Like, when this run, the Xbox version, when this run is... Even this is quite a bit above my expectations, because this run also had, like, effectively no mistakes going into Now Though Men. If this is unreasonable to go up against, how the fuck am I supposed to go up against this when this is way more unreasonable? This run is exceptional. So when this happens, it's, like... Obviously I was quite upset, because I was thinking, like, this ain't the run anymore. And that's what it's supposed to look like. Quite disappointing. And then you do this for the rest of it. So it's like the circulate thing then. So now the run has gone from, like, insanely good to just, like, not bad, I guess. Like, I could reasonably be minus out of here, like, going up against this, but obviously going into fucking... Especially Now Though Man, I can just never expect to be minus without more strats. And again, we'll get to that later. So yeah, you still need the SCDA Spongeball Warp and everything, even though we don't do Mindy Skip, like, we still need it. Not for Ghost Warp, but just because it's a fast token, it's literally like a minute 20 something. It's like a minute 25 or some shit. Minute 24. I would say that Invisible Crate is, like, more viable than it normally is, because again, like, the slide jumps are just fucking AIDS. But I'm still just, like, not doing it. Oops. So let's see how I do me jumps, bruv. And perfect jumps. And 2 framing this is not fast. So yeah, like, even after that big mistake I made, like, I still did the rest of the segment very well, and then I did this well, like, so far. Even though I don't need the stack, I grab it anyway, because otherwise it can cause issues, like... You don't need it, but I like to be safe. Again, and then because of render distance, you're, like, pretty much always on the same cycle here. Like, and unfortunately, it's just always a bad cycle. I don't think it's possible to, like, hit the, get the button here on time. So... Normally, if you... I went too close to the Merv, so normally... You'd be able to, like, kill the Merv and then pick up this Fogger, but I walked too far forward and I knew I was gonna have to slam him again, so I lose time from that. This you just gotta do, and then I do this, and then I fucked it up like a dickhead. And I backed it up well, but I just lost like a few seconds. And then... There is a strat unique to this cat, and I think it's an NLR as well, but... It's a bit different. There's a strat. We want to burn a Dennis load, so what you do is that you grab this token, and then drown, like, in the goo. Because it's, like, almost a 0-second setup if you set it up properly. And then you just lose, like, a couple seconds to drowning. And I fucked it up. Even though it's easy, and I fucked it up, so, like, I just wasted Dennis load. Even if you get sent to Dennis, it's just, like, it doesn't, like, lose time. Like, you could do Dennis then, but you actually don't want to. It's optimal to, like, warp away from Dennis if that happens. So, yeah. That SCDA was very bad. Minus 43 to minus 20. So very bad, Dennis. But yeah, so that unique part of the route, where now we're doing SCDA Spongeball. Obviously I don't buffer the Spongeball tokens, I forgot to mention that earlier, but like you already know that. And, yep, like, that's fucking stupid, because, like, I never do that. Like, so I just lost like a second or two for no reason. And then throwing fruit is just like the same cycle that you expect. However, I can't buffer the token at the end. So that makes it very hard because I gotta like jump into it and then press start at the right time. And this late in, I'm not likely to risk 2 frames, especially because this run is still like not bad. And that like clearly didn't work, so I had to unpause. So yeah, this run ain't quite it anymore. But yeah, now we do the setup. So now that I'm in combat to SCDA floating block, because we want to do floating block anyway, and it causes, ball storage causes no issues here. PS2 ball storage is like weird, where it's like, it can like cause issues that, it's hard to explain, but some, like, immediate loads will just like never work. Also, this is a fast cycle that I don't think was in my 58, 56, but I could be misremembering. But I'm like a teeny bit behind it, but like barely. But yeah, for example, like SCDA 2 to like a lot of levels will just literally instantly crash, and that even includes like costumes as well, just kind of weird. Although SCDA 2 to Dennis doesn't cause issues, luckily, so when I like got sent to Dennis, it didn't like... Actually, I don't have balls. Actually, no, I think it does cause issues, but I just didn't have a setup. Anyway, here's something unique. Because obviously getting this would be fucking evil. To be fair, I didn't check if the 3K setup would work, but then you have to like inch up towards it anyway. Instead, what we do is cartwheel, spin cartwheel double jump into the token. The SCDA floating block token is lower. Its placement is slightly lower than in 3K and Now That We're Men, which means that it's, well, you can do this on this one specifically, but not the other ones. And I got the 1-frame pause, so yeah, it's optimal to get the 1-frame pause. You can 2-frame this, but if you do that, then you get soft-locked in floating block, unless you get a frame 1 pause. You have to, like, hold start during the load, because we want to come back here. Because now, we are going to warp to floating block 2 more times, and then warp to Dennis, which is part of the chain. Now, floating block in itself is a non-SB load, and Dennis in itself is a non-SB load, so you might be thinking, well, wouldn't it be faster to burn Dennis? We fucking thought so. I only found out on accident when I was trying to compare something. SCDA floating block's load is faster than Dennis's, even when accounting for the fact that you need to scroll in the menu to access floating block, which initially loses time. For some reason, the load is still faster. And I think it's probably to do with, like loading in enemies and then, like, Dennis himself. Like, all of that probably just, like, makes it take longer to load, as opposed to, like, floating block, which is, like, yeah, it spans across, like... It spans across the void more, but, like, it just blocks and a few checkpoints and a timer, like... So, yeah. So we used to burn Dennis loads, and then we were like, hold on, it's just faster to burn fucking floating block loads. Not by much, I'm not even joking, like, I probably saved like a second from doing that, like, if that, like, it's hardly anything. But, you know, I want to be optimal. And then I've already seen the cutscene here, so I like, just reacted poorly, so I lost a little bit. Dennis is the exact same, except for one thing. Which I can actually show, because I missed it. Dude, first of all, I swear to fucking god the 1-frame thing is harder here. I think just because of, like, I'm holding the controller right now. I think, like, the start button being, like, this weird, like, triangle that, like, sticks out a lot. I feel like it throws you off when you go to, like... Because obviously, like, I got my thumb on X, and then I got my finger on start. And I think, like, it just feels a bit less natural because of the start button compared to Xbox. And I think the cutscene, like, starts a teeny bit sooner on PS2, which kind of, like, fucks up my timing a bit, because I try to, like, still set it up, like, optimally. Like, skip the cutscene quickly. But yeah, I fuck this up, and Dennis 2 is, like, more than I do on Xbox. But even in, like, good no-pause storage runs, like, I still expect to miss one of the 2 Dennis frames, which is usually Dennis 2. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed just because of, like, what happened. Like, you can see I was not happy. Because just, like, what already happened in SCDA, and then I missed the throwing fruit thing, and I got a bad cycle in SpongeBob, and... You know. However, I can show you something that's unique to this version of the game. As long as you don't get the 1 frame, it is faster to naturally load into Sundae. Because we've already done backtracking, so... Like, why do we need to load? Like, on Xbox you do, because it skips a 2-second FMV, but if we can instantly skip it, and we've timed it, it saves, like, 0.45, and spoilers, it also saves time in Dennis 2. So yeah, that is why you want to, like, you don't want to do Dennis immediately anyway, because you would need to, like, come back, like, you want... whatever, even if you just burn Dennis, because you just don't want to fuck with, like, fast scrolling, or, like, you accidentally miss menus, you just want to be safe and go to Dennis. You can do that, but, even if you do that, you want Dennis, like, to actually do the fight on your final non-SB load. And then you go to Sundae. And now for the big thing. In a sec. Let's fucking go. First of all, it's funny how my splits are like SCDA, and then the next split has an SCDA token, and then the split after that has an SCDA token, but like, I really gotta split these up. Look how fucking long they are, and how much variance they can have. Like, even the ball storage chain, it can have the variance of, I could fuck up the chain. Dennis 1 frame, like, getting, like, the early hit on Dennis and losing, like, 3 seconds. The token frame, if I didn't mention that, like, you could go for an even faster token frame in SCDA floating block. There's the fast cycle, there's ice physics glitch, and then the 2 token frames in the SCDA ball plus throwing fruit split. Like, it's just too much to account for. So unfortunately, I have a whole lot of SCDA around here that I just don't like to... So it makes my splits look a bit stupid, but yeah, we just can't compare properly. Well, we can compare against Xbox right now, but, like, not, like, properly. Well, now it pulls ahead. Obviously, I can't do a direct comparison in the sense that my Xbox run is obviously better than my PS2 run at this point, but we can still do a little bit of a comparison. Because it was, like, just under a minute and a half off, which is funny, because that's, like, the equivalent of, like, a rock slide skip. But yeah. What was I saying? I'm running out of breath. Like, the run is still, like, good. I'm just, like, a bit disappointed, because, like, it could have been so much better, dude. Like, even if it was just... Because, like, I lost, like... If I just, like, didn't miss TNT Circ, and instead I missed, like, Now That I'm in Floating Block token frame, like, this run would be, like, I don't know, like, 7-8 seconds ahead of what it currently is. And it would just be better overall. Because then the time save is more, like, even... Or, yeah, the time save is more, like, evenly distributed as well. That's the thing, right? If you get, like, the fucking greatest run of all time, but then you make a big mistake in one segment, it makes the run look so much worse than it actually is. Because people will see a screenshot of the splits and then be like, oh man, you were minus, like, let's say, like, a minute, and then you were minus, like, 17, and then you finish the run at, like, minus, like, 30. This run isn't that good, and it's like, no, this run's, like, really good. Depending on, you know, the category and your expectations and everything. I hate uploading these kind of runs to YouTube. It reminds me of my 224 in Hundo, where the run was amazing, but then I lost, like, 30 seconds in Rub-a-Dub 2 because I missed Rub-a-Dub skip twice, and other than that, the run was excellent. And even that, it like, barely cost me the minute barrier as well. Or I think I would have, like, either barely got it or barely missed it. It depends on if I would have locked in for Weenie, but yeah. Really fucking stupid. Very, very stupid indeed, bruv. So, I guess we can, like, compare splits again, but yeah, this chain, it is amazing how lucky this actually is, and I don't want to spend too long on this. The fact that a Ghost Swap hasn't been found on Xbox, and there has not been a... Well, okay, there was one found today, but it's, like, I can go into more detail later. I keep saying that, but, like, I really, like, I will go into more detail as long as I don't forget. Xbox doesn't, like, have a proper one, and PS2 doesn't have a second one. The fact that, like, ball storage doesn't cause issues in SCDA Floating Block or Dennis, and the fact that it's, like... Now That I'm in Floating Block is technically a detour, but it could have been worse. It could have been, like, Plank Spongeball, it could have been Knucklehead, it could have been, well, Knucklehead would be the final destination loads, but, like, you know what I mean. Even though this isn't, like, the way you set it up and the final destination are, like, not optimal in themselves, it's still, like, you don't equip a costume. You don't, like... The Now the Men combat warp in itself is faster than something like Depression. If it was Depression, like, we'd have to set it up somewhere else, and I don't even know where we would do that. Yeah, I just don't know. And then we have, yeah, so, let me think. So, yeah, Now the Men combat, and then you literally do non-SB times 4 to Sunday. That's really quick. Like, think about it, right? Weenie task skip is like non-SB times like fucking 18 or some shit. It's literally like non-SB times 18, and we need to equip Mermaid Man. This is non-SB times 4, which is really lucky. This run, we could have had to have burned like 20 loads, and it would still be quite a bit faster than Xbox. And that make the run way worse. But the fact that, like, we do this, it's so fast that we can do this setup twice is crazy. Even if you have a really slow PS2, you still want to skip Sunday, because, well, you're not going to do, like, Sunday jump and spiral skip on, like, a regular-ass PS2, because if you're on a regular-ass PS2, you're a fucking beginner, let's be real. Unless you're literally just, like, on, like, normally an Xbox runner, and then you, like, do a PS2 run for the memes, but, like, if you're, like, an actual person trying to get into the game, you're not going to be doing Sunday jump and spiral skip, so... Even if you have the slowest PS2 known to man, like, it would still be faster to do this shit, because that's how fast the setup is. Especially when you want to burn Dennis anyway, and you want to burn SCDA floating block anyway. But even if you're not doing floating block, you still want to burn Dennis. So then you still are only doing 3 Dennis loads, which is really not, like, even then, again, I don't think there's any situation where Sunday is faster, even in theory, compared to doing the Ghost Warp here. So the fact that it's that fast is crazy, but if you're doing an optimal route, you only burn 2 non-SB loads. That is insane. Unfortunately, we can't burn more. Obviously, we can't burn anything, like, past Sunday, because we need to get to Sunday. And token requirements are too harsh and no pull storage. We enter Now the Men with 20 tokens, and we enter SCDA with 25, so, yeah. But yeah, dude, if only it were a little more, because then we could move, like, 3k floating block. Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily want to do that, but, like, we could then move it later. So yeah, 4156, and then we look at Xbox, again, not a completely fair comparison. But, like, not, like, having a fairly fast setup for this is, like, crazy. 4156, oh wait, really? 4218? Oh, so, okay, PS2 does pull ahead. I thought it was still behind. That's the power of, like... Because, like, you have to... I wonder how long it actually takes to set up... Because you do waste scrolls. Actually, no, you don't, because of BBBH. You want to go to BBBH anyway. So you don't lose any scrolls. You just... Well, you waste scrolls going to Now the Men combat, and then you lose time grabbing the combat warp. Loading in, manually setting a bowl storage, and then... Yeah, okay, so that's, like, kinda, like... I wonder... I don't know how, like, a 25-second setup, like, here, I genuinely don't know. Like, yeah, probably say, like, 25, like, 30 seconds. And then you skip a 4-minute segment temporary. Like, obviously we got a substitute of it, yeah. I didn't know that Xbox was actually behind at this point. That's actually interesting. So yeah, no Sunday. So the longest, well, it's not the... Okay, it depends on how you look at it. Because Rockslide, like, gives you 2 tokens, it is, like... It is, like, 2.5 minutes just under that per token. Whereas Sunday is 4 minutes for 1 token. And even if Rewind didn't exist, the Rockslide split would be, like, it would be, like, 340 or some shit. Like, 340, 341, 342. So... It would still be fast on Sunday, so yeah, this is the longest sliding and driving token Sunday is in the game. And even with the Ghost Warp setup, then it's like roughly Rock Slide 1 length, except not actually because of Rewind, effectively making it shorter, technically. Gesk itself is the exact same. PS2 does have its own, like, bowl storage effects, but, like, I wasn't able to find, like, a task skip. I've been testing more guest. I've even been testing the SB plus patch chains because of like some stuff found recently. Again, I'll get to it later. This video is longer than I thought it was gonna be. I think the caffeine's beginning to wear out a bit. But yeah, I wanted to make another, like, I want to get back and, like, making, even though I have, like, nothing to make. But if we keep finding bowl storage stuff, there'll be more stuff to make. The only notable thing I can really say about this, I don't know if I think I got the 0.5 seconds stack, and I really didn't need to, so that's, like, half a second. It's really a shame, because if it went for SCDA, like, I could be like, oh, well, all these mistakes are just, like, natural at this point in the run. And I would agree. And some of them are hard to call mistakes, like throwing through token when it's, like, hard and it's, like, late in the run. I guess you'd still call it a mistake, but it's, like, you know, not, like, a major one. The TNT Cirque thing and just Area 2, like, those were, like, two, not major mistakes, but, like, you know, like, they, like, loosely qualify, they qualify for, like, major mistake. But yeah, see, like, Gesk is almost as fast as it is on, Xbox. Dennis 2 is almost as fast. It's like almost the same like length split. It's crazy. And again, if you don't get the 2 frame, well, I fucked this up as well. So yeah, I lost like a couple seconds there. Actually, no, I lost 4 seconds, and I did get the token frame. So we had to change the route because of this, right? But first of all, I'll just say that I lost so much time that even though I got the 1 frame, I only effectively saved like a second with it, so I almost didn't get the 1 frame, which is really fucking stupid. So yeah, I'm like choking. After SCDA, I just started choking more and more. Really unfortunate. I did get the 1 frame, but again, it almost feels like I didn't. Even though obviously, like, I did. I just made a separate mistake, but it can feel like... Because the average Dennis attempt, I would just miss it and then lose like a second. Off of the, like, the average Dennis, if I play this again, the average Dennis 2 will just lose 1 second here and not, like, you know, 5 to 6. But yeah, because of the, loadout thing, it's faster to move Gesk 2 to after Plank. Latte was the one who realized... Okay, so I was the one who first realized that it'd be faster to, like, skip Sunday. Then Latte was the one who realized, you could skip Dennis, or I mean, like, you could do the Dennis 1 thing, like, load manually, well, I mean, not manually, like, automatically loading into Sunday, and then I realized by extension that we can do that here as well. You do lose, I think it's either 1 or 2 scrolls. Yeah, I think you lose, like, 1 scroll. But it's still effectively saving, I mean, it saves over 0.4. This kind of makes the run worse, because if you get the 1 frame, then it actually would be more optimal to do Gesk early, but you can't, like, make your splits do that, because you can't reliably get the fucking 1 frame, can you? That's just stupid. And the other thing is that... I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, then I'm delaying Gesk jumps, but then I'm getting Plank out of the way, which is important because of stuff. So yeah, it just depends on how you look at it. But yeah, anyway, we got Plank. You can still do that menu closing thing. So let's see how Plank Calculus goes. That's been happening a lot recently, right? Either get hit here, or I get hit on my way to Bungee. I try to jump, but it's just like, it's so fucking AIDS. It's still probably worth it over, like, having Merv, like, randomness, but, like, bruh, I do not like either method. So yeah, I lost, like, a second. I hate that my gold is not perfect here. But it's not perfect for a reason. I had to spin there, lost frames, who cares? Also, you can do, like... You can move SCDA Sponge Bowl later without losing time, but there's no real reason to. So, like, SCDA Sponge Bowl, like, it's not hard, but, like, I don't know. It's just, like, kind of no point then. It would be harder to, like, justify having an SCDA bowl plus throw fruit split if I do that. I don't know, I'd just kind of rather get it out of the way. Especially because then, like... I don't know, it's almost like... You don't have to worry about 2 frames then for the remainder of the run. Like in Hundo, for example, the last 2 frame I do in the run because I don't do Plank Sponge Bowl Light. The last token frame I do... I'm trying to even remember what it is. I think it's... It might be fucking throwing fruit. Is it? Because I do 3K bungee early now, so that's not... And even then, I don't 2-frame it anymore. Although I do, like, now that I'm in floating block very late as well, so it might be that. But, like, before Plank 2, my final... So I do, like, you know, BBBH Combat, Plank 2, like, Knucklehead, like, Guest Tier, like, I do all of that without worrying about a single token frame. And that's kind of, like, a nice, like, mental thing. I don't even have to think about it. So I'd like to, like, get all of the token frames, like, out of the way. So yeah, let's look at this 2-frame attempt, because again, I had a really fast buffer here. Like, so fucking fast, it was basically, like, not losing time. And that would have worked, unfortunately, like... Like, that happened the last run as well, 429. Same fucking thing happened that run, too. AIDS. But I don't know, man, I was just pussying out. I was just like, I just want to get my 56, because I already lost like 456 paces to guest jumps at this point, and I was just fucking sick of it. Especially because I had only recently learned 3K floating block 2-frame strat, so I was just so sick to death of like resetting to early game. And it just felt like I'm not gonna get an early game like that again, like, run's still good even in spite of the mistakes. You know what one of the worst things about PS2 is, like, low-key? Watch this. 2-framing this is fast, but I don't know why I said watch this when I knew I missed it and you wouldn't, like, know that. Normally, this would not be worth 2-framing, because, like, if you 2-frame it, you don't get the warp for bounce. Why do we need the warp for bounce if we just skip area 2? What is the visual cue for this? How are you supposed to know that you're standing on the platform? And even if you stand, like, as close to the edge of the platform as possible, getting a buffer here on Xbox would be quite hard. But even then, we're on PS2, so even that's out of the fucking window. This is stupid. This is, like, one of the very worst token frames in the entire game, and we're doing it 47 minutes in. And this is why I would just, like, this is a benefit of doing Plank before Gesk, but then that has its own downsides. But yeah, fuck that, dude. Like, this sucks. This fucking sucks. I hate this. My gold gets both of these fast. I think one of them was a repause, but still, like, overall fast. But then I, like, fucked something up, so I could theoretically improve the gold by, like, 3 to 4 seconds, but then it'll take a very long time for me to improve it. If I was still playing this category, it would take a while to, like, beat it. But yeah, now you go to Gesk. And we do Gesk jumps, and I'm just gonna say now, one frame of delay makes this way harder than you think, and on even on PS3, but especially on PS2, this level is fucking laggy as fucking fuck. And the amount that it lags is a little inconsistent. This shit is just so bad. Like, I like guest jumps, like, they make the run a lot harder, and it's not like a traditional type of backtracking, where it's like, oh, you're just doing the same thing you already did. Like, no, this is, like, clearly different, and clearly, like, adds to the run. I kind of want it gone from PS2, because that is genuinely how bad it is. Look at this fucking, like, dude. Oh, wait, you can't see my splits. My PB is a 57, at this point, is a 57.32. The best possible time entering Gesk 2 was 56.45. And it took me a while later, like over a week later, I think. No, it took me, no, like, look, best pace, February 7th. And I got this on, the 22nd. So it took me 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get a run that was better than that pace. Even though I had improved my 3K floating block strat, I had gotten better at the Now That We're Men one, I just got more used to the thing, to shit in general, I golded more stuff, I optimized my routes slightly more. And even then, I'm only a little bit more on pace. This run's only a bit faster than a run from over 15 days ago. Only by a little itty-bitty bit. Little itsy-bitsy. And I lost like 40 seconds here, and then I proceeded to lose another like 3 runs to guest jumps, because that's how fucking bad it is. Like, it is so unbelievably bad. And at this point, I was like, dude, even if I miss the jumps, it just gets to a point where I just don't fucking care anymore. Like, I can't miss TNT Circ and then not do these jumps. I will say, if I didn't miss TNT Circ, I still would have gone for this anyway. Like, let's be real, I was kind of forcing myself to do it anyway at this point. Because I didn't just want 56, I wanted to be done ASAP, so... I don't know how much, I want to estimate I lost like 18, 19. Which is funny, because if I just don't do guest jumps, I save like, I lose like 15. So, not fucking up that trick and then not doing the jumps, it would have gotten me a faster run than the other way around, but... Let's see how I do. So I missed a jump, but not a big deal. Or I missed another jump. So yeah, not perfect, but, like, not bad. I can't really complain. So finally, I'm not even exaggerating, by the way, I think this was the second ever time since switching to PSN, because I can't remember if it happened on actual PS2, but at least on PSN, this is my second ever time, like, not fucking up guest jumps, and I've been here, like, fucking, like, 8 times, or, like, 7 or some shit. So again, if you do this, like, basically perfect RTA, you can, like, barely scrape a 104, but I got, like, I think a low 107? Yeah, you cannot complain about that, like, that is good. Yeah, you might be wondering why am I in ring right now? Yeah, well, we had to replace Sundae with something, didn't we? So, instead of doing a level that has 4 tricks, objectively has harder and more interesting movement, has nitro management, has a lot more things that can go wrong, and again, just more skillful and stuff overall, instead of, it is, like, well, yeah, instead of doing that, we wasted a decent amount of time, like, loading around, and then we have to do a segment that, a token that heavily restricts our movement, and it's just way easier and less interesting. And it, and you can fake ring. Luckily, I only ever fake ringed, like, one time, and it was, like, when I was setting up a file, to test something with Macho. Because I was comparing Macho to SCDA floating block, which I will also get to later. Yeah. This is in the run, and it saves a lot. Like, on PSN, like, even compared to a really good Sundae, if I had to guess, I'd say this is saving, like, a minute and a half. Like, it's saving a lot. So saving, like, even slightly more than Rock Rewind, or, like, about the same amount, roughly, on PSN. And yeah, there's, like, a roughly 10% chance that you'll just fake ring. Like, just throughout the entirety of ring. So again, trick where, like, you know, Goofy Goober can, like, knock you into Ice Cream, or, like, you could knock yourself into Ice Cream, he can knock you into TNT. There's nitro management to take into account. There's Fast Scoob, there's 2 spiral skips, a Sundae jump. Like, this is not a worthy exchange. So we made the run easier, and we've replaced, like, actual skill with, like, a roughly 10% chance that your run dies and is not your fault. And we do it as late as possible because it's fucking optimal. Again, the only thing you could do later is either plank if you get the 1 frame, like, if you want to be optimal, or you just don't give a fuck, but I give a fuck, because it's technically free time save, there's only, like, a 3-minute gap between them, so you might as well take the free time save. Or if you get the 1 frame, but then I'm not, like, skipping splits and fucking my route to save a singular scroll, bruv. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that because of the, Dennis thing, like, getting the 1 frame doesn't save as much time. It's, like, whatever amount it normally saves, it saves 0.45-ish less, and even slightly less than that on, for Dennis 2, but yeah. Like, this is just, like, this category would be a lot better if you could just not do this. I really don't want to say the magic words again. But yeah, so you get 40 tokens, and you go back to playing. So again, you lose, like, a scroll or 2, and then watch this. Because you use fucking triangle to skip text in this fucking game, in this version, I did that. And then they upgrade Guitar Hero, because upgrading it in Neptune is just a massive headache, and then I just fucking fumbled like a dumbass. But then I don't fuck any of this up, so yeah, like, this is the maximum time loss, because we gotta set this up again, and there's no... You can't burn any non-SB loads, right? Think about it. If we try to do Dennis during this, Gesk 2, well, we need to go back to Plank anyway, because then Gesk would have to be part of our 40 tokens, and then it can't be, because it's during the chain when we need to go to Neptune, so yeah, like, you can't burn anything, so we lose the maximum amount of time here. So in this case, the setup takes, like, roughly a minute. Still obviously better than doing, like, Knucklehead. I mean, even Mindy Skip takes, like, 50 seconds to set up, and maybe a little more. Yeah, no, it's, like, 50 seconds. But yeah, because of the instant upgrades, like, upgrading a Neptune is just not fucking worth it. It technically is, like... It's just not worth it. So yeah, we just immediately jump to Neptune, so... Again, I can't do, like, a proper comparison at this point. But, like, we enter Neptune... Well, I could have done it faster, obviously, but 53:03. Whereas, obviously, here... And this run was really good, even though it could have been faster. I'm entering Neptune at 55:14, so it's 2 minutes behind. But Neptune is gonna just be the exact same as Xbox, except I already have guitar upgraded. Again, it's just not really worth, like, fucking with. Until the category is, like, very optimized. Because I really just never saved much, but it's... Because, like... Think about it, right? Because of, like, all the lag and everything, you have time... Like, I have time to process that I'm upgrading, because otherwise it really complicates things. Especially because the only way to skip, cutscene, or I mean upgrade FMVs in this version is to press start, which is just, like, annoying. So yeah, we're just gonna go through the Neptune. There is one really quirky thing about Neptune that I don't understand. I don't understand why it happens, but we will get to it in a minute. Which makes it a little easier. It's very strange. So normally, like, what I've been doing, right? Like, I hit this and then walk back. And because then it manips it better, and like, obviously I was able to walk for a while. This record's a little old, so I don't know if it'll have it. I think it should have it. Yeah, no, it'll definitely have it, actually. So... But, like, watch this now. I did fuck up a bit, but, like, watch. Like, even if I didn't make that little mistake, Neptune wouldn't have... Like, I still wouldn't have been able to walk as far back. And it's like, oh, is it because, maybe Neptune does the attack for longer? That wouldn't make sense. Like, yeah, look. I upgrade on Xbox, which then gives me a... But, like, the time difference between these two... In terms of my golds, if they were both as optimal as each other, would not be big enough for Neptune's attack to last longer. Which means, surely, that SpongeBob is walking faster. That's the only thing that would make sense. Because look how far I was... And this isn't a one-time thing. I noticed this immediately. Even on PS2. On my fucking PAL PS2. When I was not used to the movement, I noticed, like, oh, I was able to walk further than normal. He can't be doing his attack... later, but it also can't be walking speed, or else, like, No Cheese would be even faster than it currently is. Depression would be faster, now the memory, like, all of the platforming segments would be faster, so nothing makes sense. The only thing that makes sense is if you're walking faster very specifically for Neptune, and that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Like, I clearly, like, I'm able to advance further in, but he's not doing his attack for longer. But I also, like, can't be walking faster unless it's exclusive to Neptune, but, like, why would you be walking faster specifically for Neptune? And again, I'm not exaggerating. Every time I don't get hit in Neptune, I notice this literally every single time I've been here without a single exception, again, other than when I get hit. I always am able to walk further back, but he can't be doing his attack for longer because my gold is so close to the Xbox One, like, there's just no way. Like, so I don't know. I don't understand. But it makes this a little easier because I can get a nicer cycle here. And I have, like, I mean, I could have just, like, stood here and just waited, but, like, this means I can just kind of set this up the way that I want to. Again, doing the spin strat, we, like, stand a little in front of crabs and then spin. You can also jump, but I don't like that strat. You all know that. I remember one time I watched Chris do the jump strat, and he jumped too high, and Neptune, like, shot through... like, between Krabs' eye and his hand, and when I saw that, I was like, wow, I'm never doing the fucking... Which, granted, you could see me dying in Phase 3 in Run 429 and just being like, oh, I'm never doing that, but, like, that was literally, again, as far as I can remember, the only time this ever happened to me. Maybe it's happened like one other time, but like, I don't know. And especially in like Hundo, when you'd have like mag as well, so it's like even harder to not pick up. But I don't know how I didn't have enough health. But yeah, this Neptune is like very good. I'm like not making any mistakes. I'm wholly out of breath. The caffeine is helping though. 3-4-T. So, yeah, again, it's just like fast. So, now we need to go over like, I need to like actually, well, I have the splits. I ranked the splits after the fact. And you could be thinking, well, you lost too much time in SCDA and like Plank could, like, as long as you're willing to risk more 2-frames, you absolutely can get a better run than this. Especially if you start practicing gas jumps more. Because like, you don't need as good of an early game, but here's the thing, right? Look at these splits. S, 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 S. I even gave Weenie an S because it was surprisingly close to gold, but even if you want to argue that it should be A, like, okay, everything else is still S. And then I would argue that these are A. If you're on massive copium, you could say B, but again, this isn't Xbox, this is PlayStation. This was actually really bad, and yeah, I would call these, like, BoobTube, I would maybe put in, like, low C, but at that point, like, Junkyard was so fucking bad that it drags the rest of the split down anyways, which goes, it's just overall a D tier split, like, genuinely horrible. I can literally save, like, 30 seconds here at least. This is B because, like, yeah, I lost, like, 8 seconds, but, like, again, I only expect to get one of these token frames, and by one of these, I mean literally Spongeball. So, I would consider A just not fucking up the cycle, and then S, like, getting both token frames. Even if it requires, like, a repause or two, or getting a slightly slow cycle and then getting both at 2 frames, I would have still considered that, like, S tier. S, A, because, again, it's still faster than what I normally get on average. I want to say this before I forget. Not counting, like, token deaths, which is just, you know, quick Chris. Out of 13 token frames in the run, I got 9, which is very good. The only ones I missed were, let's see, it was Dennis 1. I think that was the first one I missed, which is fucking crazy. Dennis 1, Throwing Fruit, Plank Combat, and Plank Bounce. And again, Plank Bounce is so unbelievably cancer. Dennis 1 is, like, weirdly hard. And it still saves a little less than the average token frame anyways, it's not even that big of a deal. Especially when I got the 1-frame pulls and floating block. And then Throwing Fruit is also a little difficult. So like, the only like proper traditional one, like I actually fucked up, where it's like normal difficulty is just Plank Combat. Or I mean Plank Ice Skating. Which is really like, you know what I mean? Like that 9 out of 13 is really good. It's virtually impossible to get all of them in the run. Like, not literally impossible, but, like, realistically, it's just not, like... Because then, even if you did do that, you probably took ages to set them up, or, like, the rest of the run wasn't that good, you know? Like, there's no way you can get all of those quickly and then clutch the rest of the run. It would take a miracle run. Even if we could find a setup for now that we're meant floating block. It's just, you know... Also, when I count the 13, I'm not counting SCDA floating block, because again, that's like a very easy one. If you wanted to, like, there's no reason to like roll, because like, especially if you get the 1-frame pause, and then you consider like, okay, you'll probably have like a setup like in 3K, like if you do it like that, you're only losing like 3 seconds for like doing that. And again, if you then like, if your input gets eaten through the load, or you just like forget to hold start, like it runs literally over because you'll soft lock, like it's just not worth it. But yeah, the ball storage thing, again, even though I fucked up like Dennis, because I had already seen the cutscene, I saved like a second there, and then I got the 1-frame pause, and I pretty much got like the optimal SCDA floating block, so it could have been like half a second faster, but I can't really complain. And I'm never gonna go for, like, unless there's like a really good setup, I'm never going for like the optimal token frame and floating block. Gesk, yeah, I could have not hit the fucking 0.5 stack, but like, who cares, man? Again, Dennis 2 was, like, above average, technically. Plank was still, like, decent. You could argue B, but, like, other than the token frames, which I 1-paused, So I didn't even lose that much. And I can't reasonably expect to get really either of them. If there were 3 tokens in Plank, and 2 of them were like the same exact effort, like if there were like 2 ice skating 2-frame equivalents and then the bounce one, I would expect to get one of the ice skating ones. But like, I don't know, when there's 2 involved, like only 2, and one of them's like the worst thing ever, and I absolutely under no circumstance, like, it's like as hard or maybe even harder than the no cheese one, because there's literally no visual cue at all. It's so bad. Anyway, so I can't expect to get that, so if you just pretend that one doesn't exist, and I just get the one, like, missing effectively 1 token frame in that split is really not that big of a deal. And then the only other mistakes I made was, like, I lost a second getting hit by the popper, and I lost, like, frames spinning. Like, does that really, like, I don't know. Like, if I got the ice skating token, I would have considered this S tier, because again, that's how bad the bounce token is. I really do think it's that bad. I would consider that S. And then this was S, even though I lost a few seconds, like, again, compared to, like, perfect jumps, I lost, like, maybe 2.5. And then I lost, like, a couple seconds, like, from the setup itself. That's, like, 4 seconds, like, that's really not a big deal, like, 4 or 5 seconds. That's still, like, pretty good. Especially when you consider that, like, the jumps are fucking harder on here, they just are harder. And then Neptune was very good. Even if I didn't upgrade here, like, that's not that much time save. Like, I'll literally save, like, a chunk of frames. So, yeah. So let's pretend the SCDA thing is not an issue. Alright, the run is absolutely outstanding. And then, like, yeah, the run is, like, quite good. Like, pretty, like, the run is still, like, very good. And then this drags it down to, like, good. Under normal circumstances, I would not call this a good run. 5644, 5523. Even though this sob is not as optimized, let's go over the, like, time save even for the strats that I do, right? Let's see. I can maybe save, like, half a second in 3K. If I start cutting the thing in rub, which I think would be inevitably... Well, I say for strats I'm currently doing, to be fair. But I can still save time there, but I guess maybe we don't count that. I could gold BBBH by, like, maybe 2 seconds if it's, like, amazing. To be fair, I can never gold this again. I could gold Weenie probably by, like, a little bit. Area 2, how much did I lose in Area 2? I mean, I don't know if I want to count, like, the ledge grab skip. I mean, if I see the opportunity, I go for it, to be fair. Yeah, I only lost 6.5. But, like, the mistakes I made cost, like, 6. But then if you count the ledge grab... Yeah, so I can gold by, like, a second to a second and a half. Honestly, with Junkyard and Boob Tube, I genuinely don't know. SCDA Bull plus Throw... I think I can go by, like, a second. SCDA 2... I can gold by, like, a second. I think Dennis 2... Can I gold Dennis 2? Yeah, because I think my gold opens the menu, which is slow. Yeah, so I can gold this by, like, 0.4. No, wait, no, because I need to one-frame it anyway. So, yeah, no, I can't really gold that. Plank I can gold by, like... If it's, like, literally perfect, maybe, like, 4 seconds, but it's probably more like 3, like 3.5. Guess 2, like, again, at the very, very maximum, like, 4 seconds, and then Neptune probably just, like, frames. So against, like, an optimized sob, I played, like, a minute, like, 35 or something off the sob. Which, like, that might sound bad, because on Xbox I played, like, I played 53 off the sob. But again, I was not looking for as good of a run. Not only was I just not looking, I was looking for a good run, like a solid run. But I wasn't looking for as good of a run. And again, like, harder, easier, harder, like, slightly harder, harder, like, again, like, Effectively the same difficulty, except, again, like, just a sluggish movement in the delay will just make literally everything slightly harder. This is slightly harder, because you get a worse cycle for Bungie, and then these are harder. And, you know, and then floating block, like, the vast majority of the run is harder. And even when it's not, then it just, you know, fucking stupid shit like figuring. So the standards are higher, and I didn't want as good... Even if it was the same difficulty, I just don't think I'd want to get as good of a run anyway, because I don't like this version of the category as much as the Xbox One anyway. So when you factor both those things, we have to kind of... like, we almost have to give it, like... I don't know why my drink is, like, on the... I literally do not remember this whatsoever. I don't know why the drink is behind me. We have to give us some leeway. We have to give us some leniency. We have to not be as critical. So with that in mind, when you factor the increased difficulty and everything, obviously, like, I'm just saying bullshit. But you could argue, like, oh, this is like the equivalent of like being a minute 5 or a minute 10 off the sub when you after factoring difficulty. But I'd agree, like, a minute 5-ish, like... So it's not that much, like, it's still, like, a good run. That's the thing. Again, the mistakes in SCDA made this look a lot worse than it actually is. I cannot... Again, with these current strats, I cannot be minus going into Now Though Men. It'd be so incredibly unlikely to be minus out of it. I could pretty real... Like, it still need to be like a good-ish run, but, like, I can be reasonably minus out of SCDA, but then I'm still going up against, like, decent splits for the rest of the run. So, like, what's the point, you know? Like, yeah, I was originally going for, like, 3x, but, like, it was harder than I thought it was gonna be. Like, I can get 3x, I can even get 2x, but, like, I can't reasonably get better than 2x. Like, obviously I could get, like, 1x, but, like, at that point, it's just like, what am I doing, dude? So, especially with the increased difficulty, that'd be, like, almost 10 out of 10 run if I got 2x. So I would consider this run, like, a 7.5 out of 10. Like, a 7 or, like, yeah, it's like a 7.5 out of 10. Assuming, like, I wouldn't get any more consistent at anything, or any of these tricks, and I just stay the same, like, kind of skill level. And I just have to brute force this. This run is, like, a 7.5 out of 10, and then when you factor that it's harder than Xbox, and I just don't want to, like, spend as much time on it, it like, transfers, it translates into, like, I don't know, like an 8.2 out of 10, which, like, usually my standard for, like, being able to move on with a category is getting, like, an 8 out of 10 run, which is still, like, very good. If I get, like, an 8 out of 10 run, that's very good. This run is, like, solid, but then when you factor the difficulty, it's effectively just, like, again, compared to Xbox, Xbox is just, like, barely an 8 out of 10 run. And I just don't want to spend as much time on this anyway. I wanted a good, solid run that I could look back on and be like, yeah, it's good overall. I wanted it to be a good watch for viewers on YouTube, because obviously if it's like, they'll see that the run is faster by 2 minutes, and then they'll be like, oh my god, and it's on PlayStation, like, what's going, I need to check the run out, and you see all the differences. Whereas if it were only like a minute faster, then it'd be like, oh, like, without even watching it, people would probably just be like, oh, you could probably just execute a couple tricks faster, but like there's such a big gap. I wanted it to be a big gap. I wanted to save most of the time the PS2 can save, but like not all of it. Get a good run, and this run is good. I do have to wonder, like, maybe I could have broke through a barrier, and then I could have kept going and got, like, a better time, but like, we'll never know, because I'm only coming back if, like, another time save gets found soon. But for example, if Xbox becomes dominant again, I'm just never playing this again. Like, maybe if there were a category split at that point, like, maybe I'd still play it sometimes, but, like, again, I wanted a solid run to where, like, nobody could touch it for a while, and I would still be, like, happy enough with it, and the viewers would like, watch it on YouTube. But yeah, and it's not like my Xbox run was perfect either, even though, again, it was also, like, basically no mistake Andy going into Now Though Men. But if we, like, look at this run... Oh, fucking hell, bro, what are you doing? Oh, god damn it, alright, was no pause storage. My hard drive doesn't do... it's really funny when I do something as basic as opening splits and I literally hear the hard drive, like, spinning up. Like, what are you doing, bro? What is bro doing? So yeah, you can see it has, like, the same kind of thing going on. Do I really class not getting ultimate on Xboxes? Dude, that's fucking stupid, especially, like, this is above average. I can't, yeah, whatever. Anyway. It's like, I still made mistakes here, like, I still consider, like, oh, I didn't get Spew Boost, and I still gave her an A. I lost around the same off my gold here as I did on PS2. And then I didn't lose as much here, but I still lost, like, considering it's an easier split. It's kind of funny that I lost, like, it's still a decent chunk of time. Yeah, like, this was still, like, solid enough. And this was, like, good. Shouldn't this be B? This is a teeny bit slower than normal. I feel like this should be a B. Yeah, it's very... I mean, it's literally just... It's like 0.3 or 0.4 slower than normal. I don't know, I might change that to a B. And then, like... This is good, but this is, again, just easier than normal. To be fair, Sunday's actually hard, and I actually did get a pretty solid Sunday. I'm surprised I put... Actually, yeah, no, that A is, like, barely an A. It's, like, close to S. The Gesk? I saw Gex, and I almost fucking, you know. I lost time here. I did kind of the same thing of having to do an extra hit in Dennis. So this is basically just the equivalent of what I did on PS2 again. And yeah, I got good guest jumps, but like they're easier on Xbox, like objectively easier. And it's earlier in the run to get it out of the way sooner. And then Plank is quite a lot easier as well. And then Area 2, like, yeah, there's no Area 2, but Area 2 isn't that hard in itself. There isn't too much that can go wrong in Knucklehead. And my Neptune was worse than on PS2. So, like, there is time to save. Like, even though this is a very good run, it's still not, like, fucking perfect. So when you factor that, like, yeah, I made mistakes on PS2, but, like that puts into perspective, like, it's not like the Xbox run was perfect. The Xbox run was very good. It was, like, at least 8.5 out of 10. But again, after converting PS2, I'd say it's, like, if it's not an 8, it's, like, so incredibly close. After, like, the conversion. For the standards and the expectations that I'd set myself, like, that is, you know... So, what are the theoretical time saves that I could implement, right? I probably should have got a video up, but, like, whatever, bro. So the first thing... is Death Bounceless, and it fucking sucks. It saves a lot more on PlayStation than it does on Xbox. You like, go around... You need to do, like, a wide turn so you don't, so that your spawn doesn't get set here, your checkpoint. And then you, like, walk, like, on the edge here, and then you bash in a way where, like, you also drown at the same time. Which then respawns you to, like, a weird spot. It spawns you here, and then you bash boost across. And then you do token deaths, ideally. But even if you don't do that, if you do this, like, if you do the death bounces, like, perfectly, it saves, like, I don't know... 3.5, but I really do not like it, right? There is quirky collision down here, where it actually gives you the explode animation, which then fucks your animation cycles, and it makes the fucking deaths not save much anyway, or anything. I don't know if it makes it save anything. It makes it save very little at the very least. And then there's another one that can happen, where, like, SpongeBob, like, bounces off. It actually bounces off the goo because he has invincibility frames. And it can even cause him to land back on the fucking ground. And then you just did that for nothing. Which, to be fair, you're hardly losing anything, but still, like, you lost time compared to not even attempting it. You can get very, like, late drowns where, like, it takes a while to slip off. And even then, when you bash boost over here, you'll have 2 health. So then you need to, like, relearn token deaths, and they're a bit different. And the cycle's a bit different, because, again, like, you're not doing it from the bungee load. And then I'd have to do token deaths, because, like, there's no way I'm just doing all that for 3.5 seconds when I lock and go out. Like, I would also do token deaths, because they save, like, 6 seconds or something. So that could be a lot of time save, but, like, fucking hell. Like, again, 31.9% chance to reset just from that alone, and then adding bounceless. Like... Now we've increased it to, like, probably high 40s, and then when you factor everything else, like, my reset rate now is just high as fuck. Yeah, now I can't miss 3k Bungie 2 frame, but, like, I'm adding a lot of resets to the run, especially when no cheese and depression is still big issues, even if sandwich driving isn't as big of an issue as before. I mean, it's still overall, then, even more reset heavy than Xbox. Obviously, I can do the cut thing here. It would make Rub-a-Dub skip harder, but I could save, like, I don't know, overall, like, 2+ seconds. I could practice this more, because I wasn't really practicing the ledge grab skip, and I was just practicing getting this. If I could get more consistent at this. But even on Xbox, I wasn't getting this too often. I get it consistently enough, but not, like, you know. So yeah, I could practice that, save, like, 1.5 seconds, but, like, I'm not, you know. There is a fast cycle here again on both, like, it saves, like, 0.5, or it might be more than that, actually. I need to look into it. But again, harder on PlayStation because more sluggish movement. Again, same thing here in Rub-a-Dub 2. You could do Weenie out of bounds. I don't know if it's any easier on here, but I tried to, like, a little bit, and it seems to be, like, basically the same thing. Well, it should be easier, because there should be more leniency. So, it should be slightly easier, but it'd still obviously be fucking abysmal. You could still do bungee later. But it would, like, not save much at all. Right? Here's what you'd have to do, right? So obviously you do eel ball, and then carry on as normal. Then you have to do it from floating block 2 frame. Which I did get. But you'd have to do that, right? And, because if you don't, then you load out, and then you load to bungee anyway, and then you load to area 2 again. So that would add another load, and you would lose time. Very, very terrible indeed. And yeah, you skip a bit of walking, but, like, adding a load and menuing, like, that's fucking slow as fuck. Like, come on, dude, like... And even then, it would still hardly save anything. Then, you would need... Yeah, okay, the bungee cycle's more consistent, like, okay, that's good, right? So you can get, like, more consistent cycle, but it's still theoretically possible to get the same cycle. So when we're talking, like, theoretical time save, I technically can't add that. Yeah, it's a realistic time save, but not theoretical time save. But then what you would do is set a bungee ball, right? You would set a bungee ball, and then you would still have ball storage active, and then you would go, again, from SCDA 2 to SCDA sponge ball, and then you would warp to Now That I'm in Combat without having to set a ball storage manually there, which would save time in itself. Let's see. Because obviously it's not, like, slow in itself, but, like, here's what you have to do, though, if you... Like, because otherwise I could just hold start here immediately, right? In fact, we can frame time this. So... The menu could have started opening here, right? So let's open this. And then we'll, yeah, okay, so in theory I could have opened it, like, stupid fast. You would save over 2 seconds from just already, because you bungee ball just in itself saves time. So let's think about this, right? Like, bungee late on Xbox saves, like, 7 seconds without bungee ball. But then the load, then it would, like, roughly break even, or maybe, like, save maybe a second. And then bungee ball in itself would save 1.5 seconds, so now it's saving, like, 2.5. And then you get this, so now it's saving, like, 4.5, 4.6. Like, you might as well just save 4.5. And you would more, like, on average, get faster bungee cycles, but in theory, it saves 4.5 seconds to frame the floating, like, to basically just do bungee late. Get ball storage, like, get bungee ball, like, successfully. 2-frame the token, because that's a thing I only just remembered. You would have to 2-frame the fucking token. So on top of, like, doing eel ball, which adds difficulty, then having to get the floating block thing, like, not even like, oh, it's fine, like, I missed it, I lost 10, like, whatever, like, no, like, you have to get it, or else you lose loads of time. You have to get it, and then you need to get bungee ball, and, well, it would still save time even if you don't get, but, like, then barely anything, and then you need to get the fucking 2-frame, or else you gotta manually set it up anyway. And then, if you miss the 2-frame, like, even without factoring that you still need to set up ball storage manually then. Even without factoring that, if you miss a 2-frame, then the route just doesn't save time anyway. On average, it will, like, roughly break even, again, because you'll on average get a better cycle, but, like, bruh. Also, we haven't talked about the actual, like, really bad thing about this, right? SCDA 2 to Dennis crashes, which means that if you fuck up that strat, like, it is easy, the car wheel strat, but if you fuck it up, the game crashes, like, straight up, it fucking crashes. And you can't play it safe, and just not, like... Well, you could play it safe, but then the route is saving so little that it's not worth it. And I got told that there's, like, some jump strat you can do, which I admittedly have not looked into. Like we could take a quick look at Red's run. I'm sorry if that was loud, I don't know if that was loud. But yeah, we can take a look at Red's run, because I haven't actually seen the jump strat, so let's... Dude, they changed the YouTube thing again, it looks kinda not that good. Alright, let's see what Red does, because I don't know. I do the car wheel strat, which is, like, fast. I don't like... I think he fucked that up. And he lost iFit. Well, okay, Red doesn't do SCDA foot. No, I don't like this. The first time I've ever seen it, and not only did Red fuck it up, but he also lost ice physics glitch. Yeah, no, I'm not. And it was slower than doing the car wheel strat, so yep, nope. We don't even know how much the car wheel strat saves, by the way. There's just no reason not to do it, because even if you get loaded into Dennis, it doesn't, like, lose time compared to not doing it anyway, other than the time it took to set up cartwheeling into the token in itself, which is, like, very little, so it's, like, you know, because you need to burn, like, loads anyway. But yeah, so... Not worth it. It would save a maximum of, like, 4.5, and it's just so obviously not worth it. The only way it'd be worth it is if we can find, like, a free-as-fuck floating block setup. But even then, it still wouldn't be, like, a great, like, thing. It would just be, like... Yeah, like, you could do it, and I would maybe consider it. But, like, the fucking crash is the final nail in the coffin. I'm not doing that, dude. I'm not. So... Yeah. I'm trying to think, like... Yeah, and you can't even, like, oh, what if you, like, 2-frame the 3-meter token? It's not fast. There's nowhere else you can 2-frame, like, in SCDA. Like, you just can't, like... There's nowhere to load from. And you can't, like, set up the ball storage effect in Now to Amend, because then you don't have, like... Again, you need 25 tokens for SCDA, but even then you don't have enough tokens... Wait, did I just say that? Yeah, you don't have enough tokens for SCDA. You can't set it up, like, we don't have the Sunday warp either. Like, this is clearly, like, not worth it. Again, you could do the 2-frame thing for SCDA floating block, like, wholly not worth. There is block boost. With the fast cycle, you're not even on cycle 4. You'd unironically have to, like, revert cycle. It was, like, only barely viable with buffers, so without buffers, like, yeah, it's not fucking happening, especially because it now effectively saves less than it used to. There was, like, a small time-saving guess that I got kind of forgotten about. I think you jump, like, from here to here, and it saves, like, half a second or something, but it's not really, like... This is a little hard, I can't be arsed, man. Let's see... Plank, I could just be more ballsy with the token frames, that's basically it. And then I could upgrade guitar, like... before Neptune, so yeah, that's basically it. Like, I could theoretically save, like, maybe, like, 9 in 3K. Oh, and then I could do the even faster death that I don't even do on Xbox, so I guess, like, 11 or some shit. So that is a lot, to be fair. If I get more consistent at this, I could save, like, 1.5 seconds. In Rub-a-Dub, yeah, like, 2 to 3 seconds, so... Let's say 3, let's up it, so, like, 4.5 seconds, and then, like, 13.5. Like, 18 after Now to Amend. The SCDA thing would probably add it to, like, I don't know, like, 22, fucking 21. 21? 21, 22... And then you would save a tad from... Well, I also... It could be a little more risky with the manlies, but, like, that's just, like, kind of, you know, not consistent how much you would save with that. So, yeah, I could add, like, 20 seconds worth of strats, and, like, the 3K thing is very debatable on if it's worth it. A couple of them are literally just, like, practice the thing, like, just do a more risky version of the thing, like, not even, like, a new strat, just do, like, the thing but more risky, which I could get more consistent at, to be fair. And then the bungee light, which is like so obviously not worth. So yeah, the only one I'm even considering then, well, obviously again, like ledge grab skip, like yeah, like that's different because that's like a different type of like implementation. When it comes to like the other stuff, upgrading guitar, bungee lights and token deaths plus bounceless, like that, the 3k bounceless deaths shit, like that's like, and the token deaths, like that's the only thing I'm actually like considering. Under the assumption that like nothing happens to this category that absolutely fucks it up, and then like there's no reason to run it anymore, or like we're just anything, like you just don't know. Which again, for the millionth time, I will get to in a bit. Well, originally I said later, now I said in a bit, so it's changed. So yeah, overall, this run is like quite solid. It's a solid run, and I was like on the fence about it. I was like, again, like I wanted 3x, and if this run was just like a bit, if I just got like one of the plank token frames, I think that would have been like just enough for me to be like properly happy with it. But it's like the run is like too good to try and reasonably beat within like a reasonable amount of time. So I'm not like on this category forever. But it's also just not quite good enough because of, like, SCDA was that bad. It's not Anthony, Deep Fried Anthony tier, but like it is still D tier, like both the splits are D. Again, SCDA Area 2 might be like low C, but even then it's like, bruh. Honestly, it probably is like low C, but Area 1 drags it. Oh yeah, and the 3k thing, however much that saves, like 0.5 or whatever, that's another thing. They can implement, SCDA, I think I forgot to mention this, but again, more sluggish movement means SCDA floating block is just kind of like low-key harder. So yeah, now I'm going back to, like, I'm back to no major glitches. But, now I want to talk about, like, the theoretical, like, the potential future of this category. I guess I can just stop playing this, like, wherever. I should also check how much time is left on, the song. Oh, there's still loads of time. Alright, I'll try and make this a bit quick, because this is all hypothetical stuff. It has been proven in 2 different ways via ball storage that you would be able to token dupe. One of them would be, like, grab the token, die. And then the token respawns, you grab it again, die, grab it again, die, grab it again, die. There's only like 2 or 3 levels they would actually work in, but theoretically that would just absolutely break no pole storage, especially PS2 no pole storage when you don't even need to think about Plank and Knucklehead. You can absolutely fuck them up. But then there's another one where it just refreshes the token, just like a regular, like, oh, you burn like 10 lows and the token respawns and you gotta burn another 10 lows to get a respawn. And that one works on more levels, like, in theory, but yeah. So that's something, not a good thing. Well, that's the thing. It would be beneficial as long as you could only do it once and it doesn't take too long to set up. Because, like, again, I really do think guest ring is that bad. So if we could, like, replace it with, I don't know, another Now That I'm in floating block, like, yeah, I don't like repetition, but it's still better than doing fucking guest ring. If anything, it's its own quirky... It's like guest time, but without jumps, and it's even slower. It's like... It's literally guess time if you couldn't do, the death warp. It is, like, pretty much that. So it's just, like, so fucking, like, casual. Like, it's literally just... It's almost, like, the same thing again for, like, people who don't do guess jumps, but, and then if you're not doing guess jumps, it's effectively even worse because you're not doing anything. So yeah, I would welcome that, a welcome addition to the run. I don't like, and I would maybe be fine with getting rid of guest time, but it kind of depends on what it's getting replaced with, because if it's just another Now That I'm in floating block, then it's like, alright, man. Another thing, it has been also proven possible that you can, like, disable, like, base flags or whatever for Sundae and Weenie, which would basically mean that the objectives would be marked as complete as soon as you load in effectively. You need to drive, like, near the exits, but, like, it would work. And I effectively never actually tested this. Like, yeah, I pretty much never really, because in Weenie I would just reload at the beginning, like, over and over and over again. There's, like, 1 chain with time, 2 chains in time challenge where I didn't do that, but other than that, like, I was just at the beginning. So I never tested it in Weenie. And in Sundae, I was driving, like, close to it sometimes, but it was more so on the way backwards. And obviously for Ring, I was not doing that. I was only, like, driving forward to try and get the out-of-bounds triggers, so I wasn't, like, properly, you know... So I wasn't driving, like, super close to the exits. So it's entirely possible that I missed something. I would imagine that something like that would probably need to be early-ish in memory. And which would maybe imply that it might also need to be, like, the same sheet that can do MS effects, and Sundae can't do MS effects on Xbox. But Weenie can, with Mermaid Man to be fair, but it can. So I think it's more realistic to happen in Weenie. But if we could get that in Sundae, obviously for PS2, then we might not even just need to worry about Ghost Swap in the first place. Oh, I want to say, I know I need to sidetrack for a sec, sorry. The route, you can just not do SCDA floating block and then do Gesk, Macho. I timed them, and, the SCDA floating block I did for the comparison was, like, very basic. It didn't have ice physics glitch, and I, like, kind of, like, I took my time. So I'm, like, I did it in, like, imagine, like, an intermediate, like an intermediate level player, just, like, making sure that they don't die, but also not going at a complete snail's pace. That lost about 15 compared to the cycle that I get, but that is, like, yeah, that's honestly expected for somebody with... On Xbox, because otherwise I just didn't know what a good time is on PS2, but on Xbox, I would expect somebody with, like, a 1.0 fucking, like, 8 or whatever to get that kind of floating block, you know what I mean? And you don't even need to think about ice physics glitch, it's kind of goated. Which especially then, like... Well, yeah, then if you get hit in Frogfish, 3k, it doesn't really... Now though, man, SCDA doesn't even matter. But yeah, it is, like, a lot more chill. And if you do guest jumps, well, then you just would have done a good SCDA floating block cycle anyway. I did compare that. Well, not, like, a video, but, like, I know the timings. Compared to my, like, fast floating block cycle, guest jumps, like, perfect guest jumps would, like, about break even or barely lose time. So there's just no reason to do them, but yeah. Anyway, so it is a good beginner route, and I'm like, assuming nothing happens to the PS2 version from here on out, when I get to the PS2 no pause storage tutorial, like, I'm literally just going to have them do floating block, and then after Neptune, I'll be like, alright, here's some stuff that you can do. Obviously, I'll talk about some stuff. One of the first things I'll mention is SCDA floating block. I also compared casual 3 meter, but it also, like, roughly breaks even. And at that point, you'd rather just get rid of SCDA floating block. Especially because, like, there's a lot more that can go wrong with that, even though stuff can go wrong in 3 meter. But yeah, anyway, as for this, like, this would benefit, like, even PS2 if it could be fast enough, because then we could get rid of Guest Ring. And then we wouldn't have to do the first Ghost Warp, which would be good for, well, then we'd just be replaced with, like, other, like, more loading, potentially, with other chains, but yeah. This is... I sound like Gesk. This is... Anyway. For Xbox, theoretically, if you could execute it fast enough, it could just straight up make Xbox faster again. But you need to get very lucky, like... Think about it, right? PS2 saves, again, if you do play very well, it saves, like, again, like 2 minutes 40 or some shit, like 2:45. So the setup... Like, you would need to make Sundae, like... Literally, like, 1:15 or something. Obviously not actually, because PS2 is so much harder than Xbox in many areas, to the point where... Okay, like, let's say the PS2 saves, like, PSN saves, like, 2:45 or something. If you could find a Sundae skip that saves, like, 2:30, at that point, Xbox is effectively faster. You're never gonna save that time on... You're only gonna save that time, like, as a beginner. Like, when you get better at the game, like, you are not saving that time on PlayStation. Oh yeah, that's another thing. PS2 crashes way more, or at least PSN crashes way more often. Like, way more, like, I've probably crashed, like, 7, 8 times. On Xbox by now, I would have crashed at most, like, once. Also, my controller, because it's wide, I had to buy a third-party controller to reduce the input lag as much as possible. And it has, like, it's supposed to work wired. Doesn't work wired, so it's just defective. And the reason why that matters is because, well, then I gotta, you know, because the battery on it isn't that good. I mean, it's alright, but it's not, like, great or anything. You know, it's not like the Switch Pro controller or anything. Or, like, the Xbox 360 controller, you know, controls like that. It's not like that. It's... Like, it's a decent controller, like, I don't love it, I don't hate it, it's like, pretty alright. Like, I can see why somebody would use it as the main PlayStation controller, because that, like, it is a third party, like, it is, like, an actual good company as a Retro Fighters, controller. Hardly available in Europe, I had to get it from some fucky website and pay 5 fucking quid postage, but yeah. And I had to buy the blue version, which I like the color, but, like, it doesn't really go with my black PS2. But yeah, I like the color, but yeah, it was literally like a few pounds cheaper to get the blue one for some reason, so I was like, alright, fuck it. But anyway, yeah, it literally, I had to buy this to give myself effectively a competitive edge, because otherwise, like, you really don't, like, especially on, like, worn-out, like, PS2 and PS3 controllers, holy fucking shit, it is bad. And I even used a Brook adapter, like, so I could play 360, my actual 360 controller, and it was still, like, it was a little better, but it was still pretty bad. I'm holding it in my hands right now. This reduces like 90% of the sensitivity. It's still there. It's still, you know, inferior to not having it, but it's a lot better. So that makes everything you do harder. But the point being, for when I boot the game, sometimes, okay, so there's this quirky thing that can happen where if you don't have a controller connected when you boot up the game, it'll be stuck on the controller not connected screen, and it'll be stuck there permanently, and the only way to fix it is to turn off the console via holding the power button. Which is very fucking slow. Kill myself. I should keep this going. And it's basically just luck. Like, it really doesn't happen very often, but like, with the amount I'm gonna soft reset in a stream, it's gonna happen every, like, 3 or 4 streams, and it loses a lot of time, especially because my capture card has to, like, recalibrate. So, like, it takes ages to even recognize the gameplay when I boot up the PlayStation, it takes ages to recognize the gameplay when I boot into Movie, and it takes ages then, if I soft reset, I sometimes have to play the first, like, 15-20 seconds of No Cheese through OBS, because that's how long it even after and the soft resets are longer than the Xbox anyway, because it gives you a fucking epilepsy warning thing, and resetting game in general just takes a while. It's fucking stupid. And also, my fat PS3, it just always crashes in BBBH. For no reason. It just, like, keep in mind, it's a digital version, not a disc. It always crashes in BBBH. Like, holy fucking shit. And again, when I factor all that, and then, like, I would probably need to implement 3K shit, and then when I factor that No Cheese token frame is like the most awful thing ever, except for Plank Bounce, and arguably Plank Spongeball, that's also pretty bad. I'm just like, dude, this run, like, if No Cheese was easy, then I would honestly, I think that would be like the nail in the coffin for me to keep going, but like, I can't, dude. The final little bit of motivation, but it's just not there. It needs to be made easier, and I don't think it'll happen. It's like, oh, you know, you could add it to the practice mod. Well, I'd have to ask Latte, might not be willing to do it. And then, also, again, capture card takes forever to calibrate. And even then, like, you know how you boot to the practice mod on Xbox, right? Hold down fucking a few buttons, and then hold, like, whatever shortcut button. Very quickly boots to the practice mod, immediately goes to sandwich driving. You know how it is on the practice mod for PS2? You need to boot to main menu, or else it fucking crashes. So not only do you need to still go through, like, a slow, like, boot anyway. Okay, so you have to, like, load the ISO manually. So you need to exit game and then wait for my capture card to calibrate. Fucking go, like, load the thing, which then ramps up my fans. Click on the game, wait for it to calibrate, which takes ages, and then I can practice. And then the loads are really slow. On hard drive, they're stupid fast. They're like a second and a half, like, they're really fast. Maybe even a bit less than that. On PlayStation, they're just as, like, even through, like, an ISO, it's still as long as PSN, even though, like, the size is small. The file size is small, and it's still fucking, like, the exact same length loads. But yeah, like, a no cheese practice mod would help, but I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, unless we can find, like, an actual good visual cue, like, that token frame will never be 100% consistent. It will never, ever, ever be 100% consistent. Which will always make it really bad, because, like, oh, you're losing, like, 5-6 seconds, like, yeah, like, 6 seconds in the first minute of the run. And again, when I soft reset, it takes so long to calibrate, I can't even, like, reasonably go for truck skip, and it's just like, bruh. Yeah, so again, those are just reasons on like why I don't want to like return anytime. So like those things are like part of the reason why I need to have lower standards, because like otherwise I'm dealing with all that, which I simply would not deal with on Xbox. The number of times I crashed in 3K was fucking crazy. One time in practice I crashed at Neptune. Like come on, dude. But yeah, the Sunday skip thing would save a lot of time. If you could activate it quick enough in Weenie, you could potentially skip a few tokens, but I don't think... You'd have to be so fucking fast for it to catch up to... That's the thing. The problem with Xbox no pause storage is that I don't want any of the tokens to be replaced. They're all good. Like, literally, it's literally just, like, tokens that we can't currently get rid... Like, we can't get rid of Weenie, and in its current state, we can't get rid of Knucklehead. But, like, when it comes to, like, the currently optional tokens, like, the ones that are actually optional with current knowledge of Xbox, we can't do anything, to get rid of those, so it has to be guest time, which is, like, a good segment. But even if you want to view it from the perspective of, like, oh, well, for a lot of runners, it's a nothing burger, like, okay. But, like, ball storage would then, like, if it is capable of a task skip thing in a different way, like, obviously, either, like, the traditional way that we theorized it, or, like, the gate thing, it's just a bunch of loading and then going to the site. That's even, like, that's just the same fucking thing then. Arguably less so, because then, like, driving to the finish line, that's not, like, movement that matters, you know what I mean? It could even have, like, 4th load issues. It could even have, like, oh, you gotta warp to Dennis, but, like, on, like, the 7th load is literally gonna crash, then you gotta go to, like, SCDA floating block, but, like, literally, if that's on a 4th load, then it literally crashes. It's like, bruh. I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I don't want any kind of, like, task skip thing on Xbox, like, for no pause storage, unless, like, it's only fast enough to do full Sunday 1. I wouldn't cry myself to sleep if it existed in Weenie, but then it just can't be faster than PS2 anyway. Even in the current state, even with the nearly 3-minute gap and, like, the immense difficulty increase and, like, how... You know, PS2, like, loses so much time and then randomly catches up, and then you still gotta do the route differently, and then it just jumps ahead even further. Like, it seems like the majority of runners still don't think it warrants a console split, so if they got even closer, then that's just especially not gonna happen. So yeah, the ideal thing would be, like, a proper, like, Sunday skip, but again, either through, like, the traditional means or, like, through the gate method. And it would be theoretically fast enough to then just, like, skip the whole last segment. The only thing is that Disco Patrick would be worth testing, because if you're really fast, it would take, like, I don't know, like, a minute and a half to, like, a minute 45 to get the extras. Well, actually, no, by Sunday? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, no, it would take, like, 2 minutes, I think. So, but then Sunday, like, so if you could get, like, a fast effect, like... within 2 minutes, then that would just, like, it would become a half all access run and just very obviously make it a worse run. unless then we could get Ghost Warp and then, like, just ignore it, but, like, that's kind of a, you know, or we could just find, like, traditional Xbox Ghost Warp. The other thing as well, if we could unlock, like, SCDA Guitar, then I think we could, like, obviously it'd have to be very fast, but, like, we can... then do, like, a half XD boost to the Cirque token. I think that could be fast if we do that within, like, a couple loads. Also, if we could get Plank Spongeball, that'd be fast as fuck. I timed Plank Spongeball today, like just the token itself, and then 2-framing it. 54.5 seconds. So, if you could get, like, a really quick chain, and then, like, you factor opening the menu, warping the plank, getting the 2-frame, like, it would save, like, a decent amount of time, even over guest jumps. I hope it wouldn't be a thing of, like, oh, it's faster than not doing guest jumps, but it's slower than doing because that'd be so easy, because then guest jumps would effectively save less, and it'd be harder to justify doing. Especially because playing 2-frame fucking sucks. But yeah. I do want playing Spongeball in the run, but that would just be, like, kind of annoying, because that's another horrible 2-frame, and the fan jump is AIDS, but it's worth, like, a bit of guest ring, I'm gonna be real. It would greatly improve the pace and increase the difficulty in a nice way, but not in, like, a stupid way like Sunday, where it's, like, 4 minutes, and then one of the tricks is free, 2 of the tricks are the same and easy, and then the final trick is hard and fucking stupid. And it's kind of a little bit of a bloated segment. Playing Spongeball would be fucking it. We did find a playing Spongeball effect, but it's Xbox exclusive, and it takes too long to set up. Even for all tokens in Hundo, it's too slow. I timed it, I estimated it'd lose like 10 seconds. On like hard drive it'd be fast enough, but like hardly. So yeah. Shit be fucking slow. However, Sky found that on accident after very little testing when they weren't even looking for it. So that's where the future of this shit lies. Like, I think there's a very good chance that could, like, the either traditional Ghost Warp could exist, like, unlock the first task, or the second task, which would be, like, a credits warp. Or if we could even just get Plank Sponge Ball, or do the Sunday skip, or do a Weenie skip, or token duping. There's a lot of theoretical options that we have. Some of them make the run better, some of them make them worse. But in terms of where this category will be a couple years from now, I do, unless, literally, it's basically just up to, like, whether or not Sky wants to look for it, because Sky's the only one who, like, knows how to, like, look at memory and, like, do all that stuff. As long as Sky is interested, there is a very high chance that this category is going to change sooner than later, because there is a lot to account for. There's even another thing I haven't mentioned yet, but I want to go into a bit more detail about, like, the credits warp. If you unlock the second task of every level, like, Neptune has a secret second task which plays the 100% cutscene and then plays the credits. So we as a community would need to decide whether or not that counts as beating the game. Because here's the thing, right? Some games don't define it as that, some do. Some of them have, like, not a variable, but like a subcat or a separate category where it's like, oh, you gotta, like, beat the final boss in this, but can't just keep making categories, like, every single time, like, I don't know. It was fine to make a category, like, just to not have pole storage. It was fine to make a category to not have, like, ball storage, but it does eventually get to a point. So, I feel like for the sake of the future of the game, like, yeah, you can run, like, no major glitches and Hundo and all that, but, like, in theory, we would lose out on PS2 any percent, Xbox any percent, PS2 no pole storage, Xbox no pole storage. Even all extras could theoretically get fucked by it. And, like, NMG all extras, even though that's not, like, an actual category. Early powers all extras, early powers in general for PS2 and Xbox again. Unless we ban it because it's on extensions, but then they can just never hope to be on main, like, literally ever. Basically, like, they are, like, even then, even if it just affects stuff on main, that is affecting upwards of 4 categories. Effectively. Like, I know PS2 and Xbox aren't split, but they are, like, fairly different ways to play the category. It'd be fucking up all of those just because we're like, well, it's a little bit too arbitrary to, like, consider that as a credits warp, bruv. And, like, I don't want to get into, like, an argument, because as long as it doesn't exist, like, we don't even need to have the discussion. But, like, I really hope, though, that we as a community can come to the logical conclusion. It doesn't feel like you're beating the game unless you beat the final boss anyway. Like, we've never, like, even the categories where you don't, like, beat Neptune, Frogfish RTA, your time ends on the final hit of a boss, which is effectively the same thing, right? And then, no platforming levels still ends on a finish line, which then initiates a cutscene. It initiates the, like, beating Knucklehead, similar to how, like, time doesn't end after you get the Neptune token, or, like, when the credits start. It's on the final hits, which then initiates the cutscene, which then get the token animation. Even if it's a little arbitrary, I really feel like there's no good reason to throw 4 categories away, upwards of 4 categories away. No, 6. Well, actually 5, technically. There'd be like, upwards of 5 categories, like 5 versions of categories. Throwing that away because it's like, oh, it's a little arbitrary to, like, define it as, like, having to beat Neptune. It's not worth it. It's like, so clearly not worth it, and I hate the mentality of, like, just run no major glitches, because, like, I like no major glitches. Sandwich driving is fatiguing as fuck. Like, the trick per, like, minute ratio is worse. It is an objectively harder category to learn, so it's, like, not as good of a category to, like, push onto beginners. Like, we have to because of GameCube, but, like, that's, you know, the exception. And I do genuinely believe it's a good category. I love stuff about it, like Plank Sponge Bowl and BBBH backwards. And even, like, the little things, like, I like doing the Y plus R jump in SCDA Sponge Bowl. I like doing Nalvaman combat, floating block late. I like stuff like that. At the end of the day, I truly believe that not only would the game not be as optimized as it would be if it went for no pause storage by now, I don't think the game would have gotten to GDQ. I just don't see it. I don't think it would have been. I just don't. Because at the time, like, yeah, we had sandwich time, but we didn't have sandwich ring and macho. Don't have, I think Sam went for guest jumps and then missed them, so, like, that could have easily happened again for macho. And then there's, like, all the ring challenges, and then, like, you don't get to show off Sponge Glide, which is really cool. And then you don't get to, like, show off Mindy Skip, which is really cool. It's like, yeah, you got BBBH backwards and all, but again, I just don't think... I feel like GDQ, most likely, they're probably less likely to accept longer runs, because the longer the run is, the higher risk there is of, like, people being bored, and then if people are bored, then people are bored for a longer period of time. So I feel like they probably value shorter categories. Like, no pause storage. When it comes to showing it off to a general audience, I think it's pretty obvious why the average person would like no pause storage more. It makes, like, logical sense. And it's not worth... Like, yeah, token duping could fuck it up anyway. Like, that's different. Because then we actually can't do anything about that. But, like, when it comes to something about, like, as simple as, like, when the run ends, and it's, like, not even definitive because different games have, like, different definitions. Like, Ocarina of Time has, like, a weird arbitrary codex, or, like, SRM or whatever. And they allow it for any percent, where, like... It just spawns you, like, halfway into the credits. And they allow that. And then I think for, like, one of the Paper Marios or something, I can't remember what game it was. It's its own separate category of, like, any percent, like, credit swap or whatever the fuck, just whatever they called it. And then, like, Ocarina of Time still has, like, the Defeat Ganon category, which is, like, the old any percent, which would then be our, like, no pause storage. Like, it's just... At the end of the day, it is worth sometimes being arbitrary so that we can, like, make the game better. You know, by that, because it's like, oh, why doesn't run end when we get the Neptune token itself? Like, how come for extensions we banned pause storage? How come for, like, Xbox, all tokens and Hundo we banned pause storage? Like, you know what I mean? Oh, why don't we allow hard drive when battle runs it? Like, speedrunning in itself is inherently arbitrary, and I understand that some things you simply just cannot get away with. This isn't, like, such a major like, this isn't so arbitrary that I feel like you would be able to justify... Oh, you know, let's fuck up, like, upwards of 5 versions of categories. Let's ruin them. Absolutely ruin them. Because it's technically a more correct definition of beating the game. Like, it's not worth it. It's just not. Like, what is the point? And then it's like, oh, just run no major... Alright, so we have less options for, like, good categories to run. And then we're probably gonna have less people get into the game, because, again, harder category to get into, it's longer, it's, like, less visually appealing, less tricks per, like, minute, blah, blah, blah. Again, I like the category, but I don't think it would have gotten into GDQ if no pause storage didn't exist. And I don't think the game would have been pushed as far as it has. If something else happens to it that fucks it up, we can't do anything. At best, you'd be able to put on extensions, but at that point, it's, you know... Never we'll have the same glory again, but there's no reason to fuck up all these categories. Just because... Oh, well, it warps us to the credits, so, like, we have to allow it and make the game worse. We have to make the game worse. When we could literally just be like, no, the run ends on Neptune. Like, because that's literally how we've always done it, and when we end time is arbitrary in itself. I really, really hope people pick the logical option there, but again, this is not, none of this matters, as long as it doesn't exist. If we could unlock, like, 3rd or 4th task, by the way, fast enough, then we could treat Knucklehead as a 0-second token and no pause storage, because we otherwise need to do it anyway. If we can't unlock 1st or 2nd task, then we would literally just... Then it just doesn't matter. Like, we would, what's it called? Then we would just warp to Knucklehead 3rd or 4th task, which would take us to the 1st task, and then we would do ball storage. And then we would replace, Gesk. Actually, what we might do If we can set it up fast enough. If it's like before Sunday, or like you execute it in Sunday or before that. You can still skip Sunday. You would just make Knucklehead technically Sunday's token by technicality. And which would be worse, like, Knucklehead's worse than Sunday, but like, whatever. Like, we need to do it otherwise anyway. And then... how would that... Yeah, but then we need to warp it. Yeah, we would need to skip Sunday temporarily. Yeah, no, so we would just do, like, a ghost swap thing, like, twice. Unlocking Plank Spongeball. Dude, if we can unlock the 4th task of every level, that'd be really good, especially if it's fast, because, again, we might be able to do stuff with SCDA Guitar. We might be able to do stuff with Plank Spongeball, and then that would... And then it'd be even more likely to do stuff with Plank Spongeball in all tokens, and especially Hundo. And maybe even all extras. That'd be sick. Stuff like that is where ball storage could be cool. And again, if we could do, like, Sunday stuff, that'd be cool. And Weenie, like, for Hundo and all tokens. Otherwise, I don't really want it. But it depends. Like, it depends heavily on, like, how many loads it takes and everything. So yeah, the future of no pause storage is not looking, like... It's looking bright and dim at the same time. It's very weird. But in theory, the best case scenario is that we just find, like, a fast ghost swap thing that just takes us to Neptune immediately, or, like, close to it on Xbox. And then we're just basically playing the PS2 version of the category bar on Xbox. And then, you know, we've reset the status quo, like, everything's all fine and dandy with the world. Worst case scenario, we get credits warp, and then people are just like, nah, bro, literally just delete the category. Like, this category with, like, massive history. Incredibly important to the game, and it's like the reason why we got this far in the first place. Literally just delete it. Fucking hell. But yeah, I feel like I might be forgetting something. Oh, I got a Patrick Moonjump code. I think it's like the opposite of falling. I think the game has like reverse gravity or something, but I don't know like exactly how it works or like how you would. But it wasn't. You would expect something like that, like targeting the player to be like an early chain, but it wasn't even an early chain because it was a Plank 1 chain, which is SB plus Pat. It was in Frogfish. If we could get that in Gask 2, well, in Gask and Gask 2, then we could literally just moon jump to the finish line. Very unlikely it exists. I've already tested nearly every chain on PS2, but I mean, I'm gonna test Xbox as well eventually at some point, but yeah, like, in theory, it wouldn't be useful anywhere else. It'd literally just be PS2. I mean, Gask. And we could even do it in first task, as long as it's fast enough to then also do in second task. And if we don't need ring, like we do in... Because otherwise then we can't cheese the first task. We need to do the first task, then we can cheese... Well, yeah, then we cheese time. Unless, you know, because of mag, like, that might complicate things. And then we need to do ring normally, and then we could do it for Macho, no problem. Unless we fucking miss the token and the extra in time. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. So yeah, the future of the game even is looking weird, but like the reason why like the Ghost Swap thing and the Sunday and Weenie stuff very recent, the token duping stuff very recent, and even this Ghost Swap stuff, like Sky wasn't even looking for the Plank thing, and then they were like, oh, I didn't expect it to work because it was like because it actually disabled stuff. Now I need to like redo all of my testing because I need to like look at memory, like again because I just saw things that were disabled and I just assumed they weren't a big deal, and so I need to test everything again. So yeah, we could very well, like, just get exactly what we're looking for, or we could just get, like, small time saves, a really fast, like, Plank Spongeball thing would be so fucking cool, because, like, that is one of, like, the two big things that we're missing from No Pause Storage is BBBH backwards, which we'll never be able to do in this category, and Plank Spongeball. I really like Plank Spongeball. Well, for Xbox, we don't really need it. I'm fine with it not existing. For Xbox, unless we skip Sunday and it's like, oh, we gotta do guest ring, brev. Hopefully not. But yeah, I'd love it for all tokens as Hundo, and then obviously there's the Rock Slide Hans trigger disable thing that I've talked about before. It definitely is possible that it exists, but, like, obviously the chances are not actually high. The chances just exist. And then I'll also look for Gesk Moonjump, and then also semi-recently we found that SB plus patch chains are capable of MS effects by corrupting other stuff such as manlies, but who knows if it'll do it in the exact right way to get a token, and then you can also corrupt link counts, but yeah, so there's a lot of stuff we still don't understand with ball storage, and I imagine that this section of the video will be very outdated in like a year, but oh well. Just wanted to talk, just wanted to say words, because we could be looking at a very different no-pause storage, potentially even a completely obsoleted no-pause storage that might as well not exist anymore. We don't know. It could be small stuff, it could be massive stuff, it could be beneficial, it could be detrimental. There's only one way to find out. Well, it's basically just, again, if Sky wants to like look for it, which I think as of the current moment they do. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.